Hey gang, welcome to Ozone Late Night. I am joined by an old friend of the show who hasn't been on for quite a while. It's Roejen from Project Archivist, and we're going to share our frustrations with big tech companies, age verification, and why, if you're scared of Linux, you really shouldn't be. And honestly, it's going to probably be the last refuge if you're frustrated with all this stuff like we are. So we're going to get into it. Here we go. All right, everybody, we are back for another Ozone Late Night, and I just realized I had to check to make sure my mic was on, but clearly it is because Roejen's hearing me the whole time. So great, yes,
yep,
as usual, a professional operation, top to bottom. I am joined once again, although it's been quite a while, but certainly one of the more frequent guests on the show, Roejen from over at Project Archivist and the what do you call it, the proprietor of the Cinema Labad Discord server. I don't know anything about bad films, so I can't imagine what I would have anything to talk about over there. But Roejen, welcome back.
Hi, man. How you been? Long time no see.
I'm fine. I can't complain about anything. I mean, I can, but I really can't. Interesting. What a dichotomy. I can and I can't. I have nothing to directly complain about, and yet there is so much to complain about. So, what else is new? How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Getting ready to dip my toes back. And well, I was podcasting for a while on my buddy's show, Old Nerds Drinking, but I just wasn't really feeling it. I bowed out of that one. It's been a few years since I've done podcasting, and I'm trying, since I left, everything has changed. All the recording programs have changed. All the old voice programs have changed. It's like I haven't even been gone that long, maybe a couple of years, I think, and it's all like everything's changed and different now. It's weird.
I mean, you know what, though? The one thing that Audacity is still the same. I tell everybody that.
Yeah.
So Audacity is still exactly the same. I mean, I think they have some kind of, they try to sneak in some bullshit on their stuff now, but you can decline it. So they're going to go down the tubes as well, but that's okay. Because,
well, it's open source. That's one of the reasons why.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, there's so many options now. But the only thing I don't, because you're in the Linux world, I don't know that, because all the other ones have, well, I guess not Windows. Windows doesn't have like a built-in.
No.
I don't think they have like with the Mac, you could just use FaceTime. You could literally podcast using FaceTime pretty much top to bottom for free, as long as you didn't care about like separate channels but it works.
Better, I could go the YouTube option as well. But I don't really want to do I'm not a video guy. I've always been an audio guy, and the way the style that I produce my shows, it just wouldn't work.
You could do it, just have the cameras covered. You'd still get the audio. You just have to strip it out. You could import it into Audacity and strip it out. It would work, but then you have to trust YouTube, which I think is you might as well just sit on a fucking flaming spike at that point, because fuck YouTube.
Well, I've got two main computers. I still have a computer that runs on Windows, and that's the one where I do a lot of my gaming. That's where I do all the movie streaming. It's just a real pain in the ass to use that computer. And then I've got several Discord.
Well, I'm sorry. Are you saying it's a pain in the ass to use Windows? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh boy. We're going to have many a discussion tonight on my transition. That's the whole reason I wanted to talk to you, actually, was my whole voyage from Windows into Linux. Stepping into Linux, not literally knowing nothing about what it was or anything like that. And it started because in the summertime, I have a bunch of buddies over, and we'll have a fire pit in the backyard, and I got a movie screen, and I have a small laptop that I hook into a projector, and we'll sit out in the summertime and watch movies in the backyard as much as we can. And that computer was reaching its end of life on the Windows thing. And I'm like, well, I can't upgrade this computer. So, I need to do something with it. Not realizing that what I was doing, I really could have just left it alone. I didn't, stay on Windows 10 forever. It wouldn't have been a big deal. And then, so I'm like, well, I've got this old MacBook here that I inherited. It's like a 12, 13-year-old MacBook Air. And I'm like, this is actually smaller. Look, if I mess this up, it's no big deal because I don't even remember the password to get into the computer. So let's see what this Linux stuff is. And then right about the time that started happening, my main Windows computer, which has ran great all the way up until this year when they started getting screwy with it. I never had a problem with it. Turned on, turned off, everything ran just fine. I could record shows, I could do whatever I wanted with it. And then all of a sudden, at some point, I started getting constant updates and my computer, it just started running like shit. Um, a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't turn the computer off. I had to physically hold the on and off button to get it to turn off. It deleted all of my notes. Um, there was it just all kinds of really weird, crazy stuff. It was deleting my VPN. I had a VPN on here, my Tor browser. It was deleting my Tor. They were just gone. I had a bunch of files that just randomly disappeared out of nowhere. They just weren't in the file anymore. Just really crazy stuff. And we're watching movies one night with my buddy on Discord, and he's like, "Man, your computer sure seems to have a lot of updates." And I'm like, "Yeah, it does. I wonder what's going on here." And it got to a point where every new Windows update became a new bag of fun. It was like, what is this going to do to my system now? But I've also got people that have zero issues. They're like, I don't have any problems at all with it. So that and the combination of those two, I was like, how do I install Linux? Well, you download this program called Balena Etcher, you put a thumb drive into it, and you can download various versions. For anybody out there that's aware of Linux, you probably already know all this stuff. And I'm going to screw a lot of this stuff up because I am a Linux noob. But I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And this is free. And these are all free. And I didn't know what Linux was. I thought it was all terminal based stuff. I had no clue at all what I was getting into. I saw some videos on YouTube and I'm like,
well, it can be.
Bad.
I mean, depending on what distro you're picking, it's as nerdy as you want it to be. That's the flexibility.
Exactly.
That's why a lot of people really love it.
So I ended up deciding on I found a version called MX, which I downloaded on the MacBook Air, and it made it run. It still runs beautiful. It runs fantastic. Like I can, for what I'm doing, which is going on, checking socials, streaming movies in the backyard, just basic stuff, going on Facebook, whatever I'm going to do, it can handle it. It's also got, the LibreOffice suites in there. So if I've got to type some stuff out, there's some things like that particular wasn't very good for gaming, but it still does. Like I can just go online and do whatever I want with it. And then it turned into this thing where people are like, hey, I don't need this laptop anymore. So all these people that couldn't upgrade their Windows 10 computers were just like, I don't need this. Do you want it? Sure. Yeah, I'll take it. So then it turned into this voyage of discovering all these different distros because in Linux, they're not called, they're not different versions. For lack of a better term, we will call them, they are different versions of Windows and they call them distros. You know this.
I do know this. Yes, I do.
But it turned into a voyage of, okay, well, this distro isn't working on this computer. Well, it's not recognizing the Wi-Fi or the sound drivers aren't working. Well, let's try this one. Okay, now let's try this one. Now let's try this one. And it just blew my mind how many different variations of this that are out there. And it's very similar to Windows. But if you don't like Windows, then you hit a couple of buttons, change a couple of things, and boom, now it operates and looks like a Mac. Or if you want something completely different, sure, there's distros out there for that. So the next thing I know, I have a stack of laptops next to me. One of them is an Asus gaming laptop. Guy that I worked with was like, yeah, I tried to upgrade it to Windows 11 and it borked something and now it doesn't work. I can't do anything with it. It's basically a brick. It turns on, but it doesn't do anything. You want it? I'm like, sure. Get home, reformat it. I put a copy of Pico OS on it, which is one of the gaming. That's one of the big things about people with Linux. Everybody's like, oh, it sucks for gaming. It sucks for gaming, blah, blah. It doesn't if you know which distro to download. This particular one, the bane of the Linux world with gaming or with Linux period appears to be NVIDIA drivers. AMD, not a problem. AMD's like, here's our drivers. Do whatever the hell you want with them. Put them on your systems. Go whatever you want. So Linux loves AMD. No problem. Install it on any AMD computer. It works just fine. If it's got anything that's NVIDIA or NVIDIA, whatever they want, however I'm going to pronounce it, then it's like, this doesn't work. So you have to go crazy trying to find all of the right drivers or whatever. So if you find the right distro, There's a couple of them out there that have the drivers already installed. Boom. Now I've got me an $800 gaming laptop that works fine with Steam. I can play most games on it without an issue. Unless they're doing the cheater thing, whatever the heck it's called, but I don't really play those games anyways. The only problem that I have is that the Asus computer has proprietary drivers for the fan control. So it has two modes. It's either running in regular fan mode, or when you're gaming, it sounds like an F-14 Tomcat taking off in your ear.
It can't do it in between. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have, there's, RGB drivers were a little bit different. But by and large, I've really enjoyed this world. The only reason I haven't switched over my other computer, I will do that when I have to, my main laptop. I mean, my main desktop. But all my laptops and everything, all of them are all running on Linux now. I even switched my wife's over and she had it down in 5 minutes. It was like, okay, because most of your apps, after you get into it, for me and you, it's a little bit different though, because we're more audio video prone. But there are distros out there that are geared towards that. There's one that's made by Ubuntu it's all geared towards production, music production, video production, streaming, all of that stuff. I think it's called Ubuntu Studio. I haven't installed that one yet, but I'm eventually going to. So, but it's been a lot of fun. It hasn't been what I expected. And if you're anybody out there who's wanting to leave Windows and wants to get into Linux, and do you have any computers with Linux installed, I should say?
Well, I have, like you, I have a MacBook Air. I actually have the last MacBook Air that had an Intel chip in it. That is finally at a point where it's so sluggish that I'm like, okay, this is going to be the one, because I've just been waiting.
Goody.
Because honestly, my problem is I have to pick a distro, and I keep bouncing between all these different ones. MX is one of them, and I really just need to drill into it and watch a good comparison video and just see what because this, for me, the Linux thing, because Linux is great and I've used it in various forms, and it is certainly light years ahead of where it was the last time I was running it on a full machine, which was probably a decade ago. And it was, I mean, I could use it because I know enough about computers, but I would certainly never hand it to somebody who didn't know stuff about computers, because you would run into random issues and you would have to spend 2 or 3 hours trying to figure out why this one thing was happening. And the only thing that I would caution people about, and I'm not even necessarily saying caution, but the one thing to be aware of is Linux, depending on what you're doing, can have very strange, specific bugs that don't make a lot of sense. That literally, the third reboot, it goes away. And then the next time it happens, you reboot it 3 times, it goes away, and nobody can explain why. I mean, I'm sure somebody could figure out why. But that's the only thing I would tell people is, if you panic when your machine does something weird, you might want to wait, because you will occasionally run into weird things with Linux. Not that will stop you, that you could figure out.
Yeah.
But if you're short on patience, or you're going to freak out if your machine doesn't work and you need it to work right away, just be aware that you might want to have a backup plan in case the thing starts acting up. That would be my only caveat to it. So, but this machine is finally at the point where I'm like, okay, this is the one I'm going to put it on. Because again, it's basically useless in any other form. And there's no point in getting rid of it, because the one thing about Apple, much as I have my other problems with them, and I have many problems with them, they do make good hardware. So This thing can work. It's just not going to work with Mac OS anymore, because it's well out of support. And so screw it. I'll just destroy it.
How many gigs of RAM you have in it? 4 or 8?
I think that one's got 8. I think it's 8. I'm pretty sure it's an 8.
Oh, then in that case, you could run the ones that I would recommend, and for people that are coming from Windows, the ones that are the Windows refugees. And I'm going to go into that in a minute too, because I've really been paying attention to the Linux world now that I'm in it. But if you're coming from Windows, and even Mac, it's most of their defaults are very Windows-like, but you can configure a lot of them. If you want to be like Mac, you can change a few things around, and boom, there it looks like Mac now. But I would recommend either going with Zorin or Mint. Those are the 2 big ones. Ubuntu that's the go-to one for everybody, but I would probably go to Ubuntu after you get used to it.
That's the last one I used was Ubuntu, and I would not recommend that to people who aren't familiar.
Yeah, you can set it up to look like Windows and work like Windows, but if you go through Zorin,
you have to do some work. That's the thing. You have to do
actually not really.
Are going to require, what I say.
Not so much anymore.
but you still have to do tweaking. And this
Oh
is what
yeah,
I mean
you still got to go
Linux,
in and
yeah, that's the problem is a lot of people see the polished versions of Linux that people use and they think they can jump straight to it. And in some cases, this is what you're talking about. You have to get the right distro depending on how much work. And when I say work, I'm not saying 10 hours, but I'm saying you're going to have to do a few things to get to where you see some of these people having it. It's not going to jump right to that in most cases. So the nice part, though, is the Linux world offers so many options that as long as you do a little bit of research, you can land on one that's going to be 95% there. You don't have to. It's not like it was where you had to spend a week to get it to where it's usable, because you did in the old days.
Now with Zorin, you install a Zorin, and as you're installing it, a screen will pop up and it'll be like, how do you want your desktop to look? Like, where do you want what Windows would be a start button? Where do you want that to be? You can put it on the top, the side. There's one of them that looks like Windows, one that looks like Mac, and there's one of them that looks like a tablet. And you go, okay, well, I'm coming from Windows. That looks like what I'm used to. You click that, and boom, when it installs, which is really fast, once it installs, it's basically, it works functionally the same way Windows does. The difference is like they give you a browser when you first start. They give you a file manager, which is like you go over a file cabinet. It shows you like all your music file, your picture file, all that stuff. That's in the bottom row now. It usually gives you VLC media player. Most of them do, or they have their version of a media player. But if you don't like it, you can just download Windows VLC media player. That's another thing. Most of your distros now, which is I was afraid of. I'm like, how do I get software? Because a lot of Windows software doesn't work on Linux. You have to use a program called Wine. You run that, and then you can run a lot of the Windows ones. But fortunately, in the Linux world, there's a whole lot of replacement programs. Like you can't get Microsoft Office. Here's LibreOffice, which is 95% identical.
You don't want Microsoft Office.
No, you don't. So you can even get LibreOffice on Windows right now. You don't have to have Linux to get that either.
I have LibreOffice on every machine I've got. I dump the fuck out of all the Microsoft stuff.
On your good distros, though, that whole suite will be included for free. So you don't, most of the, like, that's why I told my wife, I'm like, well, what are you trying to do? Well, I need to write this out. Okay, well, normally you'd use this program, and here you click that button. And she goes, oh, boom. And she had it real quick. Like she had Zorin figured out within 5 or 10 minutes. And that's the other thing I gave her Zorin, because I'm like, whatever system I put on my wife's computer, I'm going to be tech support. So I'm going to be the guy, this isn't working. I'm going to have to be the guy who goes, takes care of it. So I wanted to make sure I put something on her computer that was completely super newbie friendly. Mint and Zorin are the two big ones. Now, MX is great for older systems, but it's more like these distros, for lack of a better term, like MX is very similar to, I would say, like a Windows XP, Windows 7 kind of experience. Have you used it yet? Have you tried MX?
I haven't tried. I've seen videos of it. Okay. Like I said, I've just kind of been wandering through it, just seeing what different people, because the other side of having so many options is everybody thinks theirs is the best one. So you will find a video and a person who will say, no, this is the best. No, this is the best. No, it's like, okay. So that's
there is no wrong one.
There is whatever. What I would say is the big, you already touched on this. The line I think a lot of people have to consider is, are you a gamer or not? If you're not, you have a shit ton of options. You will have a much easier time, for the most part, if you don't worry about gaming at all. If you're just doing browsing, office type stuff, basic
day-to-day stuff,
you're cruising. Like you're really not going to have to worry about it. If you are trying to actually run a gaming machine, you're going to have to pick the right distro, and you're probably going to, you're going to have to know what games you want to play, because they're not all going to be there, or they're not all going to run well. That's all. But
I haven't had one yet that hasn't ran well. The only ones that they gives you problem with are the ones that've got the cheat detector or whatever that is.
Right, which is unfortunately a lot of them. I don't know about a lot of them, but a lot of the big titles have some kind of I don't remember what it's called either, but I know the one you're talking about, which calls
I can't remember what they call it, but that's like the biggest problem that people run into with it. But I've had no driver issues, I've had no startup issues, I've had no graphical issues. As long as I'm not,
if you're not into gaming, then you pretty much just pick the one that looks the best to you, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
because that's the only place where you have to really possibly run into problems. And as you said, especially if SteamOS, I mean, the way they're talking about it, if that can replace everything, then you're not going to have to, then a lot of the stuff
Well,
is going to go away.
if you're a gamer, you could use SteamOS because you can still. I think with SteamOS you could still load up like a browser. Like I use Brave. Brave has become my main browser now,
Oh, Brave's
and
great.
that it ports everything over from if you're a Google user, you can port all of your stuff right into it, and you won't have as much of the spyware.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the other thing. Like
Yeah.
Windows watches every like I had to go in and turn all this shit off to get it to work halfway decent. And with every update, it turns it all back on again. So you to go back in and turn it all back off again. And a lot
Did
of it
you
is
see
the AI.
somebody has created a new version of Windows with all that shit stripped off in a way where it won't be turned back on. You have to do a fresher install, but I think I'm going to do it. They
Mhm.
actually, it's you have to. There's a couple steps involved, but I was learning about it on Paul Thurrott's site, and he was talking about this clean version of Windows that D11 it or whatever they call it. Because yeah, that's
Well, there is a version out there that doesn't have anything in it. That's the one that they sell to the medical facilities and things like that. And that one, it's just the basic Windows 11. But the problem is people like me and you really can't get it. You have to be in the
that's the
medical profession. Yeah,
yes,
it sucks because that's the
yeah,
one that I want. It's like, wait a minute, a
right.
stripped bare bone version of Windows that I can just put on what I want,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that'd be great.
What, you don't want Copilot to think for you? You
No.
don't want Copilot to do every goddamn thing in the world for you?
Yeah, because I'm
No?
never going to
It's so
use my Google.
good.
I'm never going to use my whatever their version of Google Drive is, their OneDrive or whatever the
Oh,
hell it is. I'm
OneDrive. Oh.
never going to touch that ever, ever. I'm never going to use three-quarters of the stuff that they're trying to get me to use, which is fine. Okay, I just turn all that stuff off, but it's the problems with my computer that it's causing. And up until this last year, Windows 11 worked fantastic on it. I never ever had a problem. And then out of the blue, all of this weird stuff started happening, and it's like, oh, it's all this AI and ad stuff and all that junk.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so yeah. I mean, if this is one of the problems. If you're gonna go into Linux though, don't be afraid. It's not hard. It's not scary. If you're coming right from Windows, look into Zorin or look into Mint. I've tried both of them. I ended up going with Zorin because it's more of a polished system. And there's the other reason is that there's a lot of companies now that are making laptops or making computers and they have their own version of Linux installed in it. And those are usually like Zorin works really, really well. It's really rock solid. I load it up, it recognizes the Wi-Fi, it recognizes everything. I have yet to have a problem with it at all. Whereas other versions, as we were talking about, this one might not recognize your Wi-Fi driver, or this one might not recognize your graphics card, or whatever. That's the biggest problem is finding which one works on yours. There is no wrong version of Linux. It's whatever version you like and works for you. The problem that the Linux community is now having is that a lot of people like myself are saying, screw you, Windows, and going over to Linux. And it's like walking into it's like a whole group of newbies walking into a giant convention center full of people that have been doing this for a long time. And the community is it's either very very welcoming, like, hey, how you doing, welcome, because you go on the Facebook groups and every day you see it over and over again. I'm coming from Windows, which version of Linux should I use? It's the same questions over and over again, and the Linux community really doesn't know how to deal with that. They're kind of like, well, if you need to ask, then you probably shouldn't be here, stuff like that. They're very arrogant about it. But my attitude is like, hey, these people hate it too. They want to, they want to leave Windows and they want to come here. You can either be cool about it or you can be a dick. So my answer is usually go on YouTube. There's tons and tons and tons of videos out there. And yeah, don't be afraid of it. It's great. There's stuff that I've got an app on here that I can plug old hard drives in that have crashed and I can pull stuff out of them. I can go in and pull the data out. Yes, you can do that on Windows, but on this, it's very simple. I activate the app, plug the hard drive in, and it just, boom, there's the files. Whatever isn't destroyed, I can pull out of it. And I've saved so many old hard drives that way and pulled so much stuff I forgot about out of it and boom, pop it off, pop it into the dock, pull the next one in. Just weird little stuff like that you can do that it's just sure you could probably do it on Windows, but on Linux, it's just so much easier. I can sync all my computers together with one button click. I don't have to go through all this crazy network or anything like that. I can sync my phone into it if I want to, transfer movies back and forth likewise. It's fun. It's cool. So, but that's the problem the community's having is they're like, what do we do? You know, what do we do with all these refugees? So, but yeah, try
Well,
it.
I think what you said about YouTube is probably better than going into a diehard Linux community because,
Mhm.
like you said, it's even the people who are nice. It's when you've it's like a lot of things when you're in that whatever the thing is that you're into, when you've been into it for a while, for some people it can be tough to try to start at scratch with somebody
Mhm.
and explain it in a way that somebody who has no frame of reference will understand. Whereas a lot of the YouTube people will actually show you an install and be
Yeah.
like, okay, here it is. Here is an old
Yep.
machine. I'm going to install Linux and it's going to be up and running in less than 15 minutes. Here's how you do it. Bang, bang, bang. Here's the links to where you got to go, the stuff you got to get, like you said, Belena or whatever it is, which I've had that anyway for the Raspberry Pi stuff and like the retro handhelds I use. They almost all use Etcher for that. So I mean and that's again another free utility. It doesn't cost anything.
Mhm.
It's just it's an ISO. It's an imager. If you don't know what that means, that basically takes a file and it overwrites a hard drive. It can image things. But like I said, and you pointed out, there's a lot of YouTube channels that you can just pick the flavor of OS you're looking for, and I would bet money that you can find somebody who's like, okay, we're going to install this today because it's very easy, and you just watch them do it and just follow it. And that's
Yep.
it. There's really not, again, it's the first version of Linux I used was so bad, but this is now going back probably 20 years, to try to use on a machine, a normal machine. I gave up because you had to compile this, add this, create the fucking, oh God, it was a
Yeah. None of
goddamn
that's there
nightmare.
anymore. That's all gone.
No,
I mean, there are
no,
still
unless you
systems
want it to
like that.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
I
want to
mean,
get
there are
into that, you
systems
can,
like
but you don't have to.
there's a version that's called Kali. There's a version that's called Arch. And again, all of these can be made to look and function like Windows, but under the hood, they're much more intricate. Like Arch is very cutting edge, very bleeding edge. Whatever the newest possible thing on the market is, it's in there. And the people that use Arch are usually very arrogant that they do. It's like, I don't care. I know. That's the thing. If you get into like Linux and you start going into the chat rooms on Facebook and stuff like that, you're going to see that stuff that I still don't understand. Like me, I just want to turn my computer on and I want it to work and do what I want it to do. When I use my gaming computer, I just want to turn it on, you know, browse, turn on Steam, and play my games. And that's all I want my stuff to do. I don't want to be going in and tinkering with a bunch of stuff.
And that's another
So
reason that my recommendation would be now don't start in a Discord or a forum
yeah,
because you know
exactly.
those people are behind their back going, fucking idiot. If you really knew how to do it, you'd run a C sharp. Oh, yeah, shut up.
Well,
I just need to be able to have a working machine. And that's where a YouTube video, you're not going to get that same sense. Most of the people who are showing you aren't talking down to you. Whereas in some of these
yeah,
places, I've had people say, I got so pissed off at the way these people were talking to me because I don't know as much as them because I'm not 60 years old and I've been working a command line my whole life. Yeah, yes, that is a problem. There is like every type of community you ever get into, there is a snobbiness. But sorry, Linux people, but this is true. I have been among you. I know there tends to be a heightened sense of arrogance among a lot of people there because
very. But
instead of looking at it as let's welcome people to this thing that we've been on for a long time, they look at it as, oh, well, now you think we're good enough. Most people aren't into this shit, everybody. Not everybody
yeah,
cares. You know, most people don't build their own computers. Most people don't code. Most people don't know the difference between COBOL and fucking C sharp or Swift versus, I don't know, Python. Nobody cares. That's not the
I don't know
world
any of
we're
that
in for
shit.
most people. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I
None of
know
it.
what it is. I can't code in it, but I know what it is.
Yeah,
But that's still more advanced than if my mother were I saying those words to my mother, her head would screw around 15 times. You say, what the hell are you talking about? And okay, forget it. But that's what
but
I'm
I have
saying
noticed
is,
that if you're using like Zorin, say, okay, I'm gonna like say, okay, I'm gonna use Zorin as my chosen Linux or whatever. If you join like the Zorin community, like on Facebook and join the Discords, a lot of those people are also Windows refugees, so they're a little bit cooler about stuff. Same thing with Mint, because a lot of those people are using those Zorin and Mint because they are very Windows and Apple like. They're very, very, very good emulators of those. So they're kind of used to looking out for one another. But if you join, like, if you go to like Everything Linux or World of Linux or something like that, those are the people that have been in it for a while, and those are the ones that they're going to be like over your head. Whereas if you
Yeah.
join like the Zorin community and be like, hey, what do I use to get my email if I don't want to use a web browser based thing, okay, well, you can use this program here. They'll steer you in the right direction. Plus, Linux also has its own little web store that you click onto, and you can just type in, what you're looking for, and it'll give you a whole bunch of apps that you can download. So you don't have to go
Yeah, it's
like,
like
where am I
using
going to go?
it's
An
like an
app
extension
store.
manager
Yeah.
in a browser where you just say, okay, this is what I'm looking for, and you have some options. But like I said,
Yeah.
I would actually tell people if you're just getting started, I would actually go to YouTube and just search for, you know, Linux for somebody new. And then once you find a
Yep.
couple you're interested, then do a search for how to install this. And you will probably find at least a few people who are very welcoming who will, because again, forums are one thing, but to be able to watch a video and see what the person's doing, that is going to get over about 80% of most people's hesitation because Linux is still perceived, fairly or not, and it's really not, as something that only people who are hardcore computer freaks can do because it just has that reputation. It has forever.
Hmm.
Because at one point it was like that. So
That's what I
and
was
that
expecting, and it wasn't like that at
yeah.
all when I got here. I was
Well,
just like,
it's not now. Yeah, no, it's not
yeah,
now. It's a
that's what
lot
everybody
easier.
tells me too, because I was expecting that for years. They're like, well, I hope you know how to use a terminal. I hope you know how to use command prompts. Very seldom do I need to ever use any of that kind of stuff unless I need to
Yeah.
remove something. And then I can just go a real quick Google search, what, and Zoran, how do I delete this program? And you can
Well,
do it this way,
the other thing I
type here,
would
and you're
tell
done.
anybody, the one thing I would say to anybody who's thinking about getting into Linux at all is have this make sure you're not relying on this computer when you're doing it because there is going to be some period of adjustment. Even if everything works the same, your muscle memory is not going to function the same. Not
Yeah.
exactly. And it might, so you want to do this ideally if you have an old machine, put it on there. Once you've used it, I would say for 6 months and you're comfortable, then you could put it on a main machine because if you can't figure out in 6 months that there's something that's a showstopper, then I don't know what you're doing. And you probably have to take bigger inventory on what your computing needs are. But basically, if you can run anything, whatever version you pick, if you run it for 6 months on a backup machine and you don't hit a barrier, now you can move to your main machine. I would not tell anybody if you're not really, really brave about it and you can live without your computer on the, because here's the thing, you haven't run into any problems. That doesn't mean that somebody won't have the one machine that has something in their chipset that's
Exactly.
going to cause a problem. So that's where I'm saying
Yep.
start with a backup machine because if you can't live without your computer, you don't want to get stuck. And not even because there's anything wrong with the OS. The problem, especially on the Windows side, see with Apple's computers are all basically relatively in a controlled environment. So you know what those are. Windows, there's so many different manufacturers with so many different chipsets and so many different
Yep.
whatever Wi-Fi chip. And this, like you were saying, graphics card, discrete graphics card. They happen to do one version .01 of this chip in this machine sucked, but then the next one they fixed it. And unless you're going to rip the thing apart and see what version you've got, if you run into that, you don't want to be stuck. So it's always
Yeah, if you've got a
better with
Chromebook,
that.
you're going to be dead in the water because most Linuxes won't install on most Chromebooks because they've got
Right.
it set up in their chip, their main chip in the inside. You can't do it. I think the new Mac computers have an ARM chip on the inside of it, and that won't allow Linux either. For now, they're working on getting around that. But
Yeah.
that's why I said earlier, get like 3 or 4 distros, and if one doesn't work, then go to another. The beauty is also
Yeah.
that you can actually run it right off of your thumb drive when you plug it in there. You can load up
Mm-hmm.
your boot menu, plug it in, and then you can just it'll run it right off of the thumb drive itself, and you can go, okay, I like this or I don't like this. But some of the stuff might not work. Like your Wi-Fi driver may not work with it running off of the thumb drive in certain
Yeah.
situations and in certain computers. But you don't even have to go fully install it. And if you're really savvy with it, if you're really not sure, you can dual boot it if you know how to do that kind of stuff on your
Mm-hmm.
hard drive. So some people have they have it dual booted so they can load up Windows if they want, or they can jump over to Linux if they want to as well. They can go back and forth between the two. But I haven't figured out how to do that. And honestly, I haven't had much of a need to.
Yeah, I was going to say, honestly, if there's somebody who's really curious about it, I would just dedicate a
Yeah,
machine
and
to it
YouTube.
and really
Yep.
work off it because there's going to be a point where you might realize, oh shit, I haven't even thought about going to my other machine for like a month. Oh, okay, well then I think you're there. So go ahead and make it your main machine, or move the same thing onto your main machine, because because most people are not going to dual boot or don't even want to get into the headache of it. So, but I think it's fortunate. It's good timing that Linux has progressed to a point where it is this easy to use, because both of the major OSs are starting to suck shit now. So, I mean, Windows has been dipping in and out of the sewer forever. It feels like every time they do a version that's good, they somehow either ruin it or they go to a version that then sucks. And Apple, I think the party is going to end for Apple as far as what people associate with that company pretty soon. They're already showing signs that their ethos.
Well, what's going on in the Apple world? Because I know what's going on in the Windows world. What's so bad about Apple? What's happening with them right now that's causing the problems?
I mean, it's going to depend what happens when Tim Cook leaves, which might happen sooner rather than later. But they're starting to do things that I did. I don't remember how many years ago. It's probably 4 or 5 now. I had said, hey, Apple's starting to get a lot like Microsoft. And I believed it, but it's taken longer than I thought. They're starting to lean into upselling on their services now, where for example, the iWork suite, which has always been free, well, now there's going to be a pro version of that they're going to try to sell you. And they're putting things behind that paywall that really don't need to be there. And that's just, and because they're going into services now, because the hardware thing is plateauing, right? The iPhone is still a good seller, but nobody cares about phones anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. And there's only so many versions of a Mac that you're going to make. I mean, this is why they've just come out with a very cheap Mac, is because they understand that, especially if now, we can get into AI, which is its whole separate thing, but assuming that cloud-based AI really takes off, and I don't know that that's really a sure bet, but that's what everybody is banking on, then your computer becomes even more useless. What the hell do I care how powerful my machine is if I'm going to the cloud to do 90% of my computing? Because that's what they're saying, they being the people running the show of everything, are like, oh, you're just going to talk to your computer. You're not going to need a keyboard and mouse. You're just going to need a microphone built in that you'll say, oh, do this for me, and it'll just do it. Now, we'll see how well that works at first. But if that's the case, it becomes a harder sell to say I'm going to spend $2,000 on a computer when I'm not really doing anything on it anymore, except for storage or watching movies or whatever, which you do not need a $2,000 machine for. So Apple is, much like everybody else, they're trying to get into the services game. They're trying to get into, oh, you should have Apple One and, this and this and this and all these cloud-based services. And they've been, their last OS upgrade to Tahoe, almost nobody likes. It was seen as a backward step in usability, which is, I think, again, an Apple trend that most people have just not paid attention to, but I've been complaining about it for a while. And this is the problem, is a lot of people still have the mindset that Apple is Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak building a renegade company in a garage. And that hasn't been the case since well before Steve Jobs died, and that was quite a while ago. They are a multi-trillion-dollar company, or whatever their market cap is now. So every time there's a reason, and shitification is now a word that everybody knows and everybody uses, is because this is the end result of a company that is not really beholden to its end users, instead beholden to the market and the shareholders. The minute you become that, your priorities inevitably have to start shifting. They just have to. Because otherwise,
it all gets turned into like a private equity kind of mentality.
Yeah. It's all a shell game. It's just a monopoly money shell game for the people who are really wealthy. And that's Apple. People don't want to accept that, because at one point Apple was the kind of opposite of that. They were an upstart because they had their backs against the wall. When Steve Jobs came back to Apple, that company was next to dead. So they didn't have the luxury of worrying about whether they were going to be able to, generate another $20 billion this year. They just had to survive, which means they had to look at it and say, okay, what do people want? We have to respond directly to what people want their computers to be. And that's what they did. And that's how they got to where they are. But once you hit that top of the mountain, it's all downside unless you can just keep pretending that there's infinite money. Now we're getting into the stock market and the way that the economy works, which is a complete fucking shit show. and a bunch of nonsense, which is really just a slush fund for billionaires. But let's not turn this into the anti-capitalism hour, or we're just never going to stop talking.
Well, no, at its core, that's kind of what this is. Like Linux is open source. It's not capital.
Yes.
Now, like Zorin, you can pay to have a more upgraded version, but it's not something that you have to have. It just gives you more options on how you can do your screen and a few extra.
But it's a proprietary, right? It's a one-time purchase. It's not a system.
Yeah, exactly. It's
okay.
a one-time
Listen,
thing.
Look.
Yeah, that's fine.
To be very clear, I am very fine with paying people. In fact, I don't like free stuff. Generally, I don't like stuff that has no paid option because it's very, very hard to keep that going and keep people engaged, to keep those things updated and supported. So I am all for, I don't like subscriptions, but I'm fine paying for every version of an upgrade for somebody if I know they're doing the work and the product is good. That's what we should want. There's nothing free. I did a whole bunch of episodes where I said, look, man, if you think something's free, you're out of your mind. There is nothing free. Never was, never will be. If somebody's working on it, they should be compensated. They're doing work. So I don't mind paying for something. But what I see a lot of, and I'm sure we all see this, is paying subscriptions and not getting much anymore for it. That they tell you that they're upgrading, but it's not what you want. It's just that they're adding random shit to be able to say, oh, that's why it's going to be $10 more in 6 months from now.
Well, looping back around on what you were saying earlier, I think it was Bezos. Yeah, Bezos, because I put a thing on Facebook about it. Bezos had said that they don't want people with the whole RAM shortage and now the hard drive shortage going on because of this artificial, our AI bubble thing that's happening. Bezos was like, well, yeah, ideally we want people to go out and buy like a basic computer. And for gaming and stuff, if you want a gaming computer, then you sign into the cloud and that is where your gaming computer will lie. Your processing power, your hard drive, all of that stuff will be saved online. So you just log in with your basic computer and then you pay your monthly fee to log on and play your gaming computer. So now you're going to be paying a monthly fee to use your gaming computer, plus your internet bill, then to access your Steam account. They don't want people to have computers at home anymore. They don't want they want you to buy a cheap computer. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You buy a cheap computer. You're only going to be paying $500 for a computer, and then you pay $30 a month and you log in, and that's where your gaming computer is online right there. You don't have to worry about having a shitty computer. You don't have to worry about having a computer at home. It'll always be up to date. But now you're back to the point where you're not owning anything. Now you're paying another fee.
Here's what the fuck it is, everybody. I'm just going to lay this out nice and easy. If you don't care about your privacy or owning anything, go cloud first. You're set. That's it.
They want everything to be cloud.
Otherwise, the cloud should always be secondary or ideally tertiary. It should never be the thing you're relying on, period. Ever. It should never be your first stop on whatever you're
doing. I look at my stack of 500 gig and 1 terabyte gig hard drives, they're just stacked up here.
but this is the thing is, it is a dangerous thing to rely on because even if there were no security problems, even if you didn't care about ownership or anything else, all it would take is one error in a billing system or who knows what, and you could just get locked out. That's it. You're done. And you better hope that there's a number that you can call, which there almost never is. You better pray that there's a person, which there almost never is, that you're going to talk to. So unless you want to spend a week going through chatbots and email chains and all kinds of horseshit just to be able to do anything, then you should never rely on the cloud. Period. Not as your primary stop.
I don't like the idea of not being able to have access to my data or whatever stuff, my content or whatever, whenever I want it. Like Microsoft, the OneDrive. Like I've got a Google Drive, but I've got free Google Drive, and I pretty much use that to try. That's my backup for all my show stuff. It's all saved on Google Drive. So whatever computer I log into, whenever I get a new computer, I can just log into it, download all my stuff back out of Google Drive. And then I've got an emergency. I've got a spare hard drive just tucked off to the side somewhere where if worse comes to worse, I can get that. But the idea of like, here, let's hold on to your data. Oh, you're not paying your monthly subscription anymore. You lost your job. You're out of, you can't afford it this month. Well, I guess your data's gone. there goes all your pictures, there goes your movies, there goes your sound files, whatever. And we'll start, you gotta pay your monthly subscription to have access to that stuff. I mean, I hate to sound like back in my day, that guy, but if I need anything, it's all right here. I don't have to, I can just plug it into a different computer if I want to. I don't have to worry about, well, I got to pay another $15 for that this month or $10 for this. Oh, I've run out of storage now. I got to pay for that. I'm already running into that to my Google Drive right now. I'm almost out of storage in my Google Drive, but I'm just thrifty about it. But this idea
you're
that,
talking to a motherfucker who's just spent the last week downloading every Adobe stock asset, which is 671 files manually with IDs on them, because
Jesus.
I'm going to cancel it. And once you cancel it, you lose access instantly. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. And there is no option to download everything because they're not stupid. They're like, oh, that's annoying. And most people won't do it. They'll just pay for another month.
Exactly.
And then they'll get busy. So they'll pay for another month. I'm like, not me. No, I'm an asshole. I'll do it. So I have a whole folder called stock backup that I have gone in, and I literally today, I now what I've, by the way, this is a tip for anybody who might be an Adobe stock and is going, I don't know if this is worth it right now. There's a whole bunch of free libraries, and they don't apparently have a download limit on it. So now my next thing is I finished downloading everything I'd paid for. Now I'm going through every free library and literally downloading every single asset possible and putting it in that folder, because why not? It's all free as long as I'm still, I have a calendar item for 2 days before it renews to cancel. So I have 4 days as we're recording this left to pull every fucking
You're the
thing
one
off
guy that those corporations hate.
Oh, I sure am. And I love it. Yeah, no, that's, but you're right. This is the whole thing I'm pretty
but
sure.
I'd do the same. I'm sure I would.
Yeah. And I think I actually do have a complete archive, but I'm so paranoid about it that I was like, no, I'm going to go through and just do it again. But this time I put the actual Adobe stock asset IDs on them so that I can make sure that I have it all so I can match it. But yeah, you cannot rely on the cloud, period. If only because, as you said, what happens if somebody cuts a fiber in your area and you don't have internet for a week? Now you could rely on your cell phone hotspot, but unless you're paying for a lot of data, let me tell you something.
Still, it's a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah. It's miserable. So to be able to just plug something in and have it, and ideally too, the other thing is companies that you think are secure and fine disappear all the time. It happens constantly. And all that would have to happen is what if Apple acquires whatever cloud company you're using and says, or Microsoft, and says, well, now you have to pay an extra $60 a month because we're folding it into Office. That is now an Office offering.
I can totally see that happening.
They did it with Skype.
They did it with Skype. So,
or they just fucking shoot it in the face. That's the other thing. Yeah, they just kill it off.
And Apple's very good for doing that. If Apple sees something out there that they like, they'll either copy it. They did it with apps all the time. They would either just copy the app and no longer make it available in the App Store and say, yeah, it's ours now. Or they would just buy the company and just absorb it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
again,
it's.
If you don't care, and you better be sure you don't, if you really don't care, okay, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you you can't do it. I'm not going to prevent anybody's choice. If you are comfortable with everything evaporating, if the wrong scenario happens, and it could be as simple as somebody hacks your identity and takes your credit cards and closes all your accounts, or locks them up and tries to get you to pay for them. There's another one that happens. I mean, I get generally 2 to 3 calls from my mother a month where she says, hey, I just got this thing. Is this legitimate? And every time the answer is no. But my mother is older. She doesn't have the same awareness of spamming and all the rest of that's going on. So at least she's smart enough to call me because she knows I know. But all she would have to do is click the wrong thing and they would have all of her shit. They would have it. Because most of her photos are in iCloud. Because as much as I've tried to talk her into how to back stuff up, she doesn't want to do it. She's at a point in her life where she just doesn't want to take the time. Okay, well then I have to, that's why I told her, anything seems weird, call me first. Just call me.
See, I'm lucky my wife doesn't go near any of that stuff. She's always like, I need another hard drive to plug in here and stay.
No, my wife doesn't either, but this is my mother. My mother's a different generation. They just do. It's not because she's stupid or anything. They just don't understand how good these people are at imitating things.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, even people who are guarded against it, if you're in a high stress moment or something's going on, you don't think about it. It can be that easy. And that's what I mean about, okay, if all your shit gets locked up online, if they hack, here it is, everybody, whatever account you have, let's say it's probably for most people, it's either going to be a Microsoft account or an Apple account, right? Whatever those accounts are, whatever you have that's tied into those, think about what happens if tomorrow you are locked out, or Gmail. There's no Google accounts. You're locked out, which that happens a lot. And it can be awfully tough to get your Gmail account back. You can find many very, very easily found stories on the internet where if people were not important enough because they worked at a corporation or they knew somebody, they'd be locked out for months. So just imagine whatever that stuff is. If tomorrow if you lose access to that for a month, are you fine with that? If you are, keep doing what you're doing. If you're not, start having a local option. That's all. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying you have to have, if it doesn't exist in 2 places, or ideally 3, it doesn't exist. Period. Because it works the other way too. I do think everybody should be backing up to the cloud as a backup, because you could have a house fire, and if your fucking hard drives fuse, unless you have them in a fireproof enclosure.
Yeah, so that's the big thing I don't have.
Yeah, I do. I run Carbonite. It's not the fastest, and that's okay because I'm not worried about speed. I'm just worrying about it being somewhere. And my entire D drive just goes up to the cloud. And it's all, it's secure and all that stuff. And it's also, there's nothing on there that anything, there are encrypted files on there. So even if Carbonite somehow tried to get to them, they wouldn't be able to. But house fires happen, especially with how much goddamn electronics we all have. All it takes is one shitty Amazon Basics piece of wiring, which is why I fucking jettisoned all that garbage out of my house once I started seeing that stuff going on. I was like, fucking goodbye, see ya. That's all it would take. So again, the big thing is it should exist in 2 places. And unless you're really willing to roll the dice, and again, some people may not care, but unless you really don't care that much, I would not go cloud first. Cloud should be a backup, and you should have a cloud backup for something that's critical that you can't lose. Because again, unless you have a fireproof enclosure, it can happen, which this is a non-sponsored product thing, but I use this now because it's given me just that little bit of peace of mind against electrical fires. There's this little product, this little plug-in thing called a Ting, T-I-N-G. You plug it into an outlet and it monitors your house electrical system and gives you weekly reports. And if something fucking weird happens, now I pay the $50 a year because it comes with $100,000 worth of fire insurance. And it was developed by firefighters. So I'm like, okay, it just sits there and I just get a little report and it's like, hey, nothing weird happened. But if anything happens, it immediately will ping me, which luckily the only thing it's detected has been power outages. But if it sees like a voltage spike or whatever, and you could just see a map, like I can pull it right up on my phone and see a map of my electrical system right now.
Really?
Anything weird is, oh yeah, it's great. Like I said, that I'm not sponsored. There's no kickbacks involved. I don't even remember how. Oh no, I do know how I heard about this. I heard about it from a woman named Stacy Higginbotham, who is a big home consumer technology advocate about consumer rights. And she talked about it. And I went, okay, if she's saying it's good, I'm listening, because she works for Consumer Reports and she's a big time. There should be legislation so that they can't just turn your shit. Because that's another thing is all this IoT shit. If the company evaporates, you have a brick. And she's one of the people who's like, that's nonsense. How can this be? You buy something, you should know how long, there should be a guarantee and you should know how long it's going to last. Now, of course, it hasn't really happened yet, but at least she's advocating for it. But yeah, that's, again, all that being a way of saying that electrical fires happen. So I don't think you should be, Lando wants to be in a shack somewhere with no access to anything. And I'm like, okay, man, but if your shack burns down, you've lost everything. As long as you're okay with that, be okay with that. But if you're not, which I'm not, then
I'm about halfway there. I'm not too far from that, but even still, I recognize that there are problems with that environment.
Well, I also do have a go bag with a laptop in it. So literally, if the house is on fire, I grab that bag and I run out and I have my electronics in there. So I'm okay.
I've got one now too, because I've got so many Linux computers. I'm like, well, I'm just going to have this one ready to go, signed into everything. So if I go on a
Yeah.
trip or something, I got a laptop I can just grab in a bag and go. It's lightweight.
Yeah, I open that laptop once a month and I run the updates and I make sure everything is still where it needs to be, and then I close it up and put it back in the bag. That's fine. And
Yeah.
that's what I mean. So there is a backup. So that works too. That's not really cloud, but at least you have it in a second place. You have something. So that's the biggest, actually, of all this stuff. That's the thing that I think most people still do not do. There's two big things that I think most ordinary people don't do that they should. One is backing up properly, having a backup of whatever is critical. And the other is using a password manager, which I can't even understand why people don't use password managers at this point. I can't understand it because it's like Linux. It's so easy. And like I use Bitwarden. That's open source. I pay for a family account for it so people can use it. But I don't even have to think about it. Oh, they got access to that account. Who gives a fuck? They can't get into nothing else because it's 50 characters randomized. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Enjoy my pretzels.com account. I'll get another one because I love pretzels. So fuck you.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's the two big things that I wish I could get everybody that I know that doesn't do that stuff is backing up properly and use a password manager. Because so many people use the same password for 80 things. And if one of those goddamn things is not maintained properly, you are fucked. Fucked. And that's, oh God, it frustrates me.
So what are your thoughts on the whole age verification thing in regards to operating systems? Because they just tried that on Discord and it blew up in their face very badly. So
okay. So in general, it's a bunch of bullshit, which we all know that. It's in theory, they're always going to say it's to protect children, which of course they're going to say that about every goddamn thing that they ever come up with, which is a way to collect more data on you. That's just always the fallback because unfortunately, there is a reality that there are child predators and that there are loopholes that they get through to get to kids. Now, I would argue that would be the platform's problem in not having protections that would stand up to a lawsuit. But instead, what they want to do is they want to force us to be responsible for it. But I mean, within, I want to say 24 hours of seeing that Discord thing, I'd already been on forums where people were like, okay, here's how you're going to beat this. You're just going to create an AI mock-up of yourself and inject the code in, and they'll never know it's you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. Because you're not. That's
it goes both ways with the AI stuff.
Well, and my AI stuff is, I've said this before, I'm split on it. Anything that's non-creative, I'm fine with it generally. I mean, if it's going to help to detect Alzheimer's early in people or breast cancer or ALS or whatever, because, doctors are human beings. They can't look at everything and they may miss things. And if a machine can look at, let's say, 100,000, mammograms and start to identify things that could lead to treatment, I'm all fucking for it. That's what you want to run data centers all day, run it for that. You want to run it to create some bullshit video of a child throwing up rainbows? No, I'm sorry. That's stupid. I don't give a fuck. However, that said, this is one of those times where I'm like, okay, yeah, that is a net benefit to have a machine generated algorithm that would just vary a face that you could feed into it. But the reality is you could probably do it without even having AI involved. That's just the fastest way. That's what I mean. As somebody had said, oh, here's a tool. You run this thing and it'll generate a fake thing and you just feed it in and Discord will never know the difference. Because they're not really actually doing it properly anyway. If Discord, here it is. If Discord, as an example, because they're the most recent ones to step into this fucking pile of steaming shit. If Discord had said, we're going to do the age verification, and if your data leaks, we are directly responsible and you can sue us. If they said that,
it did happen in Australia.
Text, well, right, sure, but that's Australia, and it would never be as strong here. In the United States, anyway, I can't speak for other countries. In the United States, no, you're dead against a company that has any money. But if they were to put it in plain text like that and say, we are the sole holders of this information and we are directly responsible to you if anything happens, then I would say, okay, because if they fuck up, then I'm going to get some money. But they won't do that.
Once they do that, that's going to put a target right on them instantaneously, and everybody in the world is going to be gunning for them, trying to hack into them. It's like that guy
Well,
that had
guess
that
what
commercial
then?
on TV that was like, "Here's my social security number. I'm so confident that I'll be safe," and he had his ass handed to him bad.
Well, then my response would, as the company would be, we're not doing age verification then. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Right? Then don't do it. I don't have sympathy for companies that have millions of dollars. I have none. I don't give a
Oh
fuck
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
So
That's
that
that's
being a
not even worth
target,
debating.
yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me jerk off for 5 minutes because I'll have more care about that than your complaint about, not being able to have a target. Fuck you. I don't care. It's the same shit with YouTube with their automatic rejection systems. They're like, well, we can't possibly fucking yes, you can. You have billions of dollars. Don't tell me that you can't have human beings that can handle appeals for copyright strikes. Oh, there's too many? Hire more people. You have plenty of money. Until the people at the top of the company are making minimum wage, don't fucking cry to me about not having enough money. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And it's the same thing with that. You want to do age verification? You are directly responsible. If you're not, go fuck yourself. I don't care. That's how I feel about it. And
See, with
unfortunately,
the
though,
Linux companies, a lot of them are already saying, no, we're not doing this because they really can't. Like with a system with Linux, it being open source like this, like anybody with Linux being the way that it is, you can take the companies that make the base systems like Ubuntu and Kali, and those are the basic kernels that Linux works off of. They're all open source, so anybody with computer, no, that's why there's so many distros, is because anybody can make one. If you don't like what's out there and you put the time and effort into it, you can make your own operating system. And a lot of people do that. They just put it out there. And a lot of them are just repackages of one or the other. But because of the way that Linux operates and how it works, there really is no way that they can put an age verification process in there. It's just not going to work. So a lot of people are like, well, is this Microsoft going to all these people and saying, hey, put an age verification system in there because they know that Linux can't do that and Microsoft can. But at the same time, will that hurt Microsoft in doing so? Like putting an age verification system in? And at what point like parents need to be responsible for their kids? You
well, I was
can't.
going to say, here's my thing is, okay, there should be a box that comes up that says I'm over 18. You click the box, done. That's it. Who gives a shit after that?
Yeah, it's the
If you're
same as going
lying,
onto a
that's your
porn site.
problem. Yes. So why is that the company's problem? That should be their shield. Hey, we presented the box. They clicked yes. That's it. What?
Because it's like you
The
said,
company has to worry
how
about
are
me
they going to
lying?
verify? Yeah, how are they going to verify
Yeah,
it? How are they going to know?
that's yes.
It's the same thing with
That's
Discord.
that.
I'm like, okay, I will scan my face into Discord because my face is everywhere. It's all over social media. Finding my face isn't a very hard thing to do out there.
Sure.
You can have my
Yeah.
face, but I'm not giving you a copy of my driver's license. Granted, I'm sure it's
Right.
out there somewhere, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean I'm going to tempt fate and make it more available. But at the same time, it's like, like, aren't parents watching their kids and what they do anymore? And that's a parental thing. At what point does everybody have to become a nanny?
Well, okay. All right. So just to
Here we go.
because I'm just trying to make it so we're considering everything. The reality is my parents didn't know everything I was doing and my parents were paying attention
Oh,
because
mine
I
didn't
got
give a
smart
shit at all what I was doing.
No, my parents tried to make sure. I mean, they weren't telling me everything I could watch, but if they had seen me watching a porno, I think they would have stepped in. Now, of course, I
Exactly.
did, and they just didn't know it. So you can't. So I understand that why are parents more involved? That's easy to say, and there are absolutely cases where there's negligence. I'm not saying there isn't. There absolutely is. But I don't think you can reasonably expect, especially again, to get into the generational difference. Kids learn about this stuff way faster, especially with technology. They learn about it. The amount of things I knew past what my parents did. It's not, again, they weren't stupid. They were educated. They worked hard. They cared about me. But I could have run circles around them on my computer. And there's just no way, unless they were going to take computer classes, which my father worked 16-hour days in some cases. There was no way he was taking classes to show me stuff. I mean, he busted his ass to make sure I didn't have to starve, be out in the rain, and have clothing. So I'm not going to criticize. And my mother worked as well. I mean, I was a latchkey kid, like a lot of kids in my
Yeah,
generation were.
our Generation
So,
X. We all were. Yeah.
yeah. So when my parents got home, they were dead tired. Do you think they wanted to sit there and watch everything I was doing? So I understand that there's a limit that even the most well-meaning parents, unless they're very wealthy, but of course, that's rich people and they just are different. But for ordinary people, there are going to be gray areas and there's going to be blind spots to what parents see. But again, to me, that doesn't even matter, because if a box comes up and you have to say, yes, I'm over 18, that's the end of the company's liability. Oh, people are lying? Well, then go after the people. They're lying. Why should the company be responsible? And that ends all the necessity for all this shit. Is just a giant box that you cannot proceed past unless you say, yes, I'm over 18, or no, I'm not. That's it. And at that point, if they're lying, then you deal with the people. It's just like the shit at most corporations where one person in a 500 employee company does something wrong. Now everybody gets punished. No. Go sit that fucking idiot down and tell them, you do this shit again, you're fired, or just fire them. Why are you doing it this way? Because we can't possibly hold one person accountable. Well, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. And that to me is the thing here. Is age verification is very simple. Pop-up box. That's it. And after that point, the company washes its hands. And if a kid sees something they shouldn't and they clicked okay, I guess you got to take it up with the kid and their parents then. And I'll feel bad for the parents if it's a young kid and they just didn't realize what the kid was doing. But at the same point in time, I wouldn't hold the company responsible. Especially because there are plenty of things that these companies do that are evil that they don't get held responsible for. This is an easy one to be like, no, put that on the person. But of course, the thing is, and we all know this, these companies want young kids looking at their stuff. They want these kids hooked on their shit early on. They want them in those systems. And so this is their way of being able to say, oh, no, we're protecting kids, when they're not. That's not what they're into. They want everybody on board because that's where the money comes from, or the data.
But if that's the case, they could just do like what me and you were saying and just have a 18 or over click box. You know, I'm having a hard time understanding, unless it's for purposes. To me, it just all feels like yet more control that we're losing. And I hate to go into the whole conspiracy theory kind of thing, but we're losing more. That's the same issue with Windows. We're losing more and more control of what we do and what we have. And you guys talked about that a long time ago. I remember you guys were talking about the end of the wild, wild west on the internet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
no, it's not
Lando had brought up
theory.
a lot of points.
It's
actually, but now it's to a point where they can't, they're running out of stuff that they could do anymore. It's the same thing with, they've squeezed everybody for so much money that you don't own anything. It's the subscription model. You don't own anything. You pay a subscription for everything.
Right.
You want that? You got to pay a subscription for it.
But even let's take the company side as far as age verification, because here again, this is where I'm like, no, there's just no excuse for it. So, okay, let's say Discord as a company truly did believe in protecting children. Let's assume they're doing what they're saying. Again, then you either hire people who know how to do it so that they're in-house and directly responsible to the person at the head of that company so that there is a single chain of accountability, or you buy a company that can do it if you don't have the in-house talent. But the idea that you're outsourcing any of this, that just starts to allow you to pass the accountability off. And then those people will pass it. And that's the problem, is it's all just a way to say, well, we're acting like we're responsible, but we're really not. Because when something goes wrong, we're going to say, well, they're handling it. No. If you want to do age verification and you say you believe in it, then you better believe in it, which means it's all in one company, one point of accountability, top to bottom. If it ain't that, you're full of shit. That's simple. So that's why I don't believe them. I don't. Whether it's that they truly want to, get information about you or not is irrelevant at that point. If you really believed in it, you would do it all inside so that you had total control of the process top to bottom. Then when there would be a problem, it wouldn't be 4 different people in courtrooms trying to shuffle around who's actually going to have to pay or whatever, or go to jail. No, it'd be one company. Also, whoever's in that company, if something goes wrong, you can't just resign and get paid. No, that shit should be illegal too. But see, this is where it gives it all away, is that that there's no actual accountability because these CEOs jump out, they get however many $1 million, and nothing happens. They just resign and run. And then they go off on a cruise ship.
Or go to another company.
Sure. Why not? Who cares? But that is a byproduct of the fact that, again, I'll only speak for this country. I can't say what's going on in the rest of the world. But most people in this country are fucking lazy and apathetic. And so they don't actually try to use the levers of accountability that we have. And so at that point, why should companies act any different? We don't care. We say we do, but most people don't. I've complained about this endlessly.
We don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been touting that for a while with this let's have a peaceful protest. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we're that's the big problem we're having also is that we're just letting this stuff happen. We're not, I mean,
I completely agree. Absolutely.
I mean, we're to a point where we're like, hey, this stuff is happening. Yeah, we should do something. What am I going to do? Which to an extent I can understand. I can't, there's not a lot that I can do either, but like that's probably with this whole age verification thing, people switching to Linux. There's all kinds of things that people are going back to physical media now more and more and more. Piracy is huge resurgence.
Let's stop and let's address what you're talking about as far as what can I really do? Okay. If I've already started looking into Discord alternatives, if they proceed with this, as they're saying in the second half, I'm going to look at, I think it's called Fluxer.app, which is an open source Discord clone, but will not be able to do all this shit because it's all open source.
You can't stream video on it that I know of.
Well, you have to make the set. So it's here again, you have to decide what you care about. And I'm not saying that about you specifically, but this is the thing is, if you actually think this is bad, you're going to have to sacrifice something. That's just how it works. If they enact this thing in the second half and 80% of their users delete their accounts, I'm pretty sure they're not going to do it. But most people, really? I have to switch to another app? Okay, then shut up.
Somebody will make something. Absolutely. Somebody will make something. That's what happened with that. That's how Napster came along. Record prices were getting ridiculous and somebody created Napster. So the game situation was getting crazy. That's why somebody created Steam. This Discord is such a huge thing in that community that if they take it away or they piss people off, somebody's going to make something. Like it's Fluxer. Yes, I've seen it. I've read about it. You can only do voice over internet and stuff right now, which is fine. It's great. But for me, I stream video on there. So for now I have to stick to Discord, and that Discord I think is backed off, but nonetheless, somebody will make something. Somebody will figure something out and make something. That's the one thing that I'm seeing happen right now more and more is that when people are getting more and more pissed off about this stuff and this stuff's happening, people are just making their own versions of it. They're just going out and making their own thing. So that's going to be the next thing. The companies are going to be coming along trying to buy everybody out and try to keep control of things.
So I'm still on Discord for the moment, but I donated $100 to Fluxer because I want them to, I want it to be feature parity. I want them to be able to get there. So I'm putting the money into it so that they can keep doing that. They do have, you can donate to it. Even if you don't jump to it now, anybody who cares about this stuff, well, then donate to whatever you think should solve it. Because really, that's the only way it's going to work. But that's what I mean. There is a convenience lock-in that happens. And I certainly understand that. I'm not going to pretend that I'm, somehow enlightened and do everything. No, fuck that. Of course not. I'm lazy too. But if they do enact that, then I will close the account. I'll say, fuck Discord. You know what? I did it with Instagram and Facebook, and it was easy. I haven't missed that shit. I just walked away from it. And, the only thing I miss now is I don't have a bunch of ads in my stream. Oh, I didn't see a funny video somebody sent me. Sorry. Fuck those apps. Fuck that company. So it's easy to say, well, what can you do? You can actually do a lot, but you're going to have to give something up. That is just a reality of it.
Yeah, that's for me and you. That's simple though. But for the average person, well, I have to kind of take back what I said because a lot more people are. That's the revolution that you're seeing is people like us or people like me switching over to Linux, slowly but surely. And it is happening. Like I said, when you're in the Discord forum, when you're in the Linux forums and all these people, these Windows refugees come over and people are like, whoa, there's a lot of people that are doing this now. You're seeing stuff like this happen all over the place. Like McDonald's. I don't go to McDonald's anymore. Their prices are outrageous for the food that you get. It's garbage. And then you see have you seen the new video by chance of the guy eating the golden arch? And he's like, have you seen it yet? Where he only refers to it as a product.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to
strange.
eat this for lunch. And then he kind of stares at it. Well, immediately, all of the other fast food companies immediately went out and made their own videos like the Burger King. They're like, this is our new Whopper. We listened to what you people said, that what you wanted. This is what it looks like. It's a really good hamburger. He doesn't call it a product. Wendy's did the same thing. All these companies are now jumping on
Yeah,
immediately and spoofing that McDonald's thing. The only thing good for
yeah.
McDonald's is giving them a lot of publicity, but not the right publicity. But you got restaurants like there's a lot of restaurants you can go to. Like me and my wife go out every Friday. We go to this place called Red Robin, and you can go there and you can get a burger, a
Oh, I love Red
fries.
Robin. Holy shit, that
Yeah,
place is
for
great.
$10 you get a big yum burger and you get endless fries. It's a sit down place, or I could go to McDonald's and spend like 12 for a Big Mac meal that's going to taste like shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where the
No,
revolution is going to come from, is people with their money, because no one has money anymore. And people are just going to start really clamping down, and trying to save what they can and do what they can. Ford, for example, Ford is now going to start charging you a monthly service fee for all of that stuff on the dashboard. You're not going to have access to your maps, or there's a bunch of stuff you're not going to have access to anymore unless you pay money. And I drive Fords. I've got family that works there, but the sync system doesn't work right a lot of the times. And it's like, you want me to pay a monthly service fee for something that already doesn't work. The self-driving feature, within a month of us having it in our truck, it stopped working, and the free service wasn't even done yet, and we're like, I'm not paying for this. It doesn't work right. So, plus, why would I want to like pay you to access my maps? I can get the little suction cup thing and stick it on the screen and put my phone there. There's my Google Maps. Life's good again. I'm not paying your monthly service fee. And they're all
yeah,
doing it. What BMW wanted to charge a monthly fee for heated seats, I think it was.
yeah.
You know, people are just going to stop spending money on this crap because nobody's got the money for it anymore.
I have a Garmin GPS that I bought 5 years ago that I just put on the dashboard, and it was a one-time fee and it works. Okay, it's not
They're
built
still
in the
around?
dash. Yeah, they're still around. It still works great, man.
Wow.
It's awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're still around. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think they do anywhere near the business they used to, but I've never trusted. I've said this a bunch of times too. I think everything above the waist in the car is fine to be electronic, and everything below it shouldn't be. And
Yep.
the inboard dash stuff, you know, I've become a late adopter of things because I kind of just sit back and wait now. I'm like, all right, let's see.
Yeah, you've always done
Let's
that.
see.
You wait till a few iterations come through before you start using it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, and the other thing is for like something like Discord, it's kind of the same idea we were talking about with backups. I've said again multiple times, so if you've listened for a while, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. Have a backup to whatever program you're using for X. Have a backup. Because like I primarily use Photoshop, but I'll tell you right now, I know how to use GIMP really well because I will not be shocked if Adobe next year doubles their pricing, at which point I'll give them the nice big double middle fingers and I'm gone. Much as I love Photoshop, and I do. I mean, I use Photoshop literally every day, but I'm not going to pay $100 or more a month for it. Nope. Sorry, I don't have unlimited funds. I wish I did, but that's why I have GIMP installed. I open it every so often, make sure it's updated, go through it, try to do a couple things I could do in Photoshop. I'm not going to tell you it's feature parity, but it's pretty fucking close.
Yeah, they're getting
So
better. That's like, it goes there, like I said earlier, that now that
it's
people
just
are
like
coming over to
Linux.
Linux, everybody
Yeah.
is starting to improve this stuff. They're going, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's take this and
Yeah.
let's do this with it or whatever.
Right.
And pretty soon, man, like Audacity, even though I use Adobe Audition for on my Windows computer, but I also have
Sure.
Audacity installed on a Linux one. There's a couple of other ones that I have installed too. And a lot of them, it's like, man, I mean, this doesn't have this feature, it doesn't have that feature, but I'm not paying for it. So,
And that's the reality is again, this is something else I think that it's good for people to do
and they're
periodically
keep
is,
improving them too.
well, are the things that are different things that you actually need to pay for or need, do you want to pay for them? If not, again, if right now the program is like right now, Photoshop is fine. I'm paying Adobe because I can afford it and Photoshop's great, but I have a backup plan because if they do something stupid, which they could because they're on board the stupid AI train like everybody else, and I'm just waiting for them to say, oh, now that we're adding all these AI features, we're going to double the price. Okay,
Yeah, because they got to pay for the
bye.
data centers.
So they say. Again, multi-million dollar company. I don't want to be hearing about it, but I have a plan. I'm not going to sit there and start crying about it and go, oh no, because they actually just did that and they had to reverse course. They said they were going to kill a program called Adobe Animate, and all these animators lost their minds because that was their primary thing. And I'm sitting here going, I understand why you're upset, but did you not ever think Adobe might fuck you? Because if you don't think that about a big company, you are living in a dream world. You are living in a fantasy that's going to be nice while you're in it, but when it breaks, it's going to break with a giant I-beam coming straight into your face, because you're then going to be stuck, because it doesn't tend to be very gradual. It's usually pretty severe. They stick it in and they snap it off. So be ready. And that applies to anything. That's...
Well, yeah, because if they give you time for it, then you have time to prepare for it, to find something else. If they just snap it off, then you go, great, I have to pay this.
Yeah. So there's virtually, I'm trying to think if there's any software that I use that either isn't primarily open source or that I don't have a backup for. And Audacity is the backup for like the only thing I wouldn't be able to duplicate right now, and I'm sure there is a free option, but honestly, I'd also be fine if I lost it, is the soundboard I use. I'm using Rogue Amoeba's Farrago soundboard because it's great. I'm also not worried about them because they're a private company. If they get absorbed, I'm going to start looking around. Then I'm going to be like, uh-oh, clock's ticking, because that's usually what it is. As soon as they get bought up, and they could, if Apple had any brains, they'd have acquired them already, so I'm kind of glad they haven't. But if Apple was to acquire them, or some other company, Adobe too, whatever, whoever, then I'm going to immediately start looking around, because it's just going to be a matter of time. And I don't know how many times this lesson has to be proven, because we just keep seeing it again and again and again. Is any company, I have a very simple metric for things. The minute that a company exists in such a way that the person at the top does not know the person at the bottom, stop trusting them. Right there. If the person at the top does not have a personal knowledge of the person at the bottom, they're going to go to shit. It's just going to happen. That's it. You can't trust them anymore. Because that's the beginning of, this all stems, to get into the nice big galaxy brain theory, this all stems from a dehumanization aspect. That's where it all comes from.
Yeah.
Is the minute that people become numbers or not people, that's when it all starts to go downhill. And that's what I mean about it. If there's a company where the president or whatever the top person is does not know who the person at the bottom is, they become a number. And the minute they become a number, there's automatically a wall there, and they're just going to become less and less valuable. And that happens exponentially the bigger a company gets. And that's all of this. I mean, like Rogue Amoeba, perfect example. And I'm not getting any money from these people. This is just, these people make good shit, and I'm happy to pay for it. Every time I've emailed them for a problem, guaranteed same day I get a personal answer back from somebody who says, let me know if it works. That one sentence, let me know if it works. So few companies ever do that. They're like, here's the answer. Go to this KB article. Thank you for using our product. Fuck off.
Yeah, it's all automated.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, it's all nothing. Or they're going to go through it. It's going to be sent to some offshore call center where somebody's going to have a binder, and they're going to go through 10 pages hoping that you just give up or that rebooting fixes it. Not these guys. They come back and they're like, oh, yeah, try this, and then let me know if it works. If not, we'll figure it out. Every time. I think there's only like 12 people in the whole company. That's what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure the guy at the top knows the guy at the bottom. If there isn't even a bottom, it's probably like a flat structure. But of course, none of these companies that we're talking about give a shit, because they're so insulated from even the people doing the actual work. Mm-hmm. They don't even understand what it is anymore. They live in a different reality. So
again, it's why I like Linux, because somebody built that, like somebody sat down and did that. It's not a corporation that did it. Right. Now, granted, some of these Linux are owned by companies, but it's all open. There's nothing hidden. There's no ulterior anything there. You can go in and do what you want with it.
And unlike Apple, okay, so they own that flavor of Linux. Guess what? There's 40 other ones that aren't owned by a company. And they're all going to be almost as good. They might have slight little kind of, eccentricities here and there, but they're still going to be Linux. They're still going to work.
Well,
Whereas,
what I found, like the Zorin one is actually owned by a company because that company, as I said, makes laptops and desktops. So they want to make sure that their Linux is working the way that it's supposed to go because their primary they're using Linux to sell laptops. They're making their money off of their computers, etc. And since it's a free operating system, they put it out there for people to use if they want to. But you can go to the company, and there's another company called Tuxedo that does that. There's a few companies that they make their own computers and they have their own version of Linux that they put on there. And since they're like, yeah, here's our version of Linux. If you don't want to buy our laptop, here's our version of Linux. You can just download it for free. And those are the ones that Mint isn't, I don't think Mint is done by anybody that goes on a specific computer or whatever. I know Tuxedo is, I know Zorin is, and there's another one that I can't remember what it's called. But they seem to work the best because they actually have a dog in the fight. Because if somebody buys the computer and it doesn't do what they need it to do, and it's an operating system issue, they become the tech support. So they want to make sure that it works right. But the other ones, I mean, if you're going to get like go with one of the main distros where there's still actively people supporting it and actively working on it and fixing bugs and constantly working on it, rather than some guy in his basement who's like, yeah, here's my version of Linux that I did. Like the one that I'm using on my gaming computer, I don't really know how much support that there is that it's out there. And if it doesn't work or it gives a problem, I'll just download a different one and put it on there. It's not like it's a big deal to me.
trying to see, because I know Zorin was started by like a couple of kids, I want to say, but I don't know how many people they have now. Okay. Yeah, they have 8 employees. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? It's my kind of rough number in my head is like 50. Like 50 is where I feel like, okay, it's going to be really tough to know more than 50 people in your company. I mean, I'm not saying there are people who can do it, but 8, yeah, okay. I'm not too worried about an 8 employee company. I'm pretty sure that those people, again, know the people in the company. So it isn't a matter of whether I'm talking about.
Yeah, they probably got 2 guys that handle the
employees.
Zorin, a couple of guys that run the warehousing, a couple of guys that actually handle, okay, your job is to put this operating system on these computers. Your job is to make sure that the computers work right and go. And you're in charge of shipping and handling.
Yeah. And that's fine. So yeah, it's not a, I don't think we should all be living in a commune where nobody makes money. I mean, I know there are people who believe in communism, but I don't think it's going to work, everybody. I just don't. I don't think it's going to work. But I have a floor and ceiling concept, which probably makes me to a lot of people anti-American, I guess. I think there should be a floor that nobody falls through and a ceiling that nobody goes beyond. There's some amount, and I don't know, I'm not an economist, but there's some amount of money that everybody should be able to live. Say, if you don't have that much money, you should be able to live. You shouldn't just die on the street. And I also think there's a ceiling where it's like, I don't think you need to be a billionaire. I'm sorry, but I have not seen, read, heard any justification for being a billionaire. I just don't. And I think it warps you. I think it's like going into space for too long.
You become you're not the same as everybody else. You're in a different world. Yeah. You're untouchable. If I don't like it here, I'm going to fly off to one of my other summer houses,
Yeah, and I don't think everybody should be a monk in a monastery where all you're doing is eating the bare minimum and entertaining yourself by drawing doodles in the air with your fingers. Like, I'm not advocating for that type of life either, but there's a problem on both ends of those. And that's, again, factors into all this stuff because a lot of that comes from, okay, whether it's in a company or whether you just have all this money, you're not looking at other people like people anymore. And that's where a lot of all this shit, like the stuff with these companies, they stop answering to the end users because the end user doesn't exist for them anymore. And
no, you're a product.
Microsoft and Google. Yeah. I mean, you're just a number. You're not even a product. Yeah. You're a fucking number. And as long as most of the numbers are trending where they want, they don't care whether, and especially with stuff like Apple and Microsoft in particular, although I'd say Google probably equally, there's also a problem where people don't know how to get out. They're too stuck in it because they got too heavily invested in it, right? So it's easy for you or I to say to somebody, you shouldn't be using Gmail. You should go to something like Proton, although they just did something stupid too. So everybody who was all big on Proton, they just had something revealed about them. So there's the other problem, man. Can you fucking trust anybody? Just run your own goddamn webmail.
No, you can't.
Yeah. No, that's the laughable. But to say to somebody, it took me a decade to get my mother off of Windows. And the real reason I did it wasn't even because of Windows itself. It's because she didn't have the money to buy a really expensive laptop. And so inevitably her laptops would fail after 4 or 5 years. They just would. Because Windows laptops, unless you spend a good amount, they're not going to last. They fall apart really quick. They just rot. I mean, it's bit rot.
That's why I'm amazed this MacBook Air runs so damn well. It hasn't been powered up in like 6 years.
Apple's hardware is superb. I don't know, whatever other problems they've got, the one thing I can't knock them for is their hardware is among the best you can get. That quality control on that hardware is fucking tight.
It really is.
It feels like it's the one part of the company that nobody dares fuck with, because apparently everybody understands that, hey man, whatever other criticisms this company's going to get leveled at it, nobody's ever going to tell us that we make shit hardware. And they don't.
What I really want to get is one of those old MacBook garbage can Pros. You can find them now for like $350, $400, and they've got 32 gigs of RAM and usually a couple of terabytes in there. And I'm like, God, if I put a copy of Linux on that, it's like,
you'll be fine.
Jesus. Yeah, it'd be great.
But that's what I mean. There is no other laptop I've ever had, that MacBook Air that I'm talking about, that thing compared to if it was a Windows laptop of that age, it would take 20 minutes to boot. And I don't even know if I'm exaggerating. If it booted at all.
Oh yeah, I've got an HP sitting here that's the same age as the MacBook Air. And I have to run the most basic version of Linux, one of the most basic ones that I can find on there. And even then it takes forever to load up. Granted, it's only got 2 gigs of RAM in it, but anything with around 4 gigs of RAM runs like a top with it. But that thing, it's got an old solid, it's high definition drive.
Celeron? Ugh.
Something like that. Yeah, it's got 2 gigs of RAM in it. Before the RAM crisis started, I was like, yeah, I'll just go out and buy, I'll just knock it up to. You can still. I was thinking, this is such an old computer, the RAM should be cheap for it. No, not anymore. Like a computer that's that old, the RAM is expensive for it. And I'm like, I ain't spending $150 on RAM for a 20-year-old, 15-year-old laptop. And plus, why is that RAM so expensive? This is outdated RAM. Like AI centers aren't going to be buying this shit. So why is this stuff all expensive now? Why is all of the RAM expensive?
The whole market's inflated. That's why. It's just all inflated because it's it's how it works. Everything goes up even if it doesn't. Look, we know there's no justification for most of this bullshit. It's
no.
It's
no,
nonsense.
That like when Bezos said, well, we want people to want people to go online and be able to like rent a service to be able to have a gaming laptop. I'm like, well, that explains a lot of it right there. This is by design. They don't want people to have decent computers or anything anymore. They want people to rent the computer. That makes all the sense in the world.
Any statement that starts with Bezos said, I could just forget the rest of it.
Exactly.
Real sense.
Exactly.
Well,
again, we've been going for about 2 hours now. So, do you want to? Can I throw a movie at you and recommend a movie for you to watch?
Sure. Yeah, good.
All right. Because I didn't know how long you wanted to go for, anyways. We watched a movie the other night called New York Ninja, and if you can find this movie, have you watched it yet?
I own the Vinegar Syndrome limited box set.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Lando did not care for it as much as I did. Lando's a tougher sell on these movies than I am. I am delighted by films like this, which, to explain to anybody, we do have a commentary. I don't think it's out for another like year and a half because we have too many movies slot. I am not kidding. On Patreon, I have a movie loaded for the first and last day of the month through 2029. I just got into April. I just loaded because now we're doing This Fool suggested that we do Mila March, thinking I wouldn't jump all over that because he knows I love that woman. So we're watching all the Resident Evils, and I told him, I'm like, all right, just prepare yourself that the quality cliff is going to be very severe. So I just loaded Resident Evil Extinction into Patreon. But yes, New York Ninja's great. I bought that as soon as I heard what they were doing with that. And the backstory for anybody who doesn't know is this was a movie that Vinegar Syndrome acquired, and they had no audio. They had, I believe, the shooting script and the footage.
No, they didn't even have a script from what I'm reading. They didn't even have
I
a
thought they
script.
said they had a shooting script, not the original script. But I thought they had maybe they had shooting notes, but they had
From what I
just
understand,
bare
they
bones.
found the movie in pieces. There was no audio to
Yes,
it, so they had to
right.
create all the audio themselves, and without audio storyboards or scripts. So when they found it,
Okay.
they had no audio, no storyboards, no nothing. Somehow or another, they found the special effects guy from somewhere or whatever. They did an interview with him. They didn't even know the names of the actors that were in the movie. So when you at the end of the movie, when the credits are rolling, it'll be blah blah blah, voiced by blah blah blah, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
voiced by and it's got like Cynthia Rothrock in it, and
Mm-hmm.
um like just a bunch of like martial arts people or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
Don the Dragon Wilson, I want to say might be
Yep,
one
Down the
of them.
Dragon
I
Wilson.
think
That's
he's
why
the main
I
guy.
couldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And just I thought the movie was dumb, but I admired what they had to go through because you're watching this and you're like, they had to create the music, the sound effects, the Foley, the cars in the
yeah.
background.
Everything,
All they
every
had to
bit of sound did not exist. Period.
exactly. And that's a work in itself. I mean, I would have done it. I would have tried to do it. I would have been like, hell yeah, I own this movie. Let's see what we can do with this. I don't know if I would have done it that good though. But so they didn't even have it. They had apparently they had to do a lot of lip reading when they were watching it. And then they talked to a couple of the people that were involved in the movie and got a good idea of what the movie was supposed to be. And I guess the way it ends is because the company that was filming it ran out of money. They went bankrupt. So the movie just never got finished.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen
For
Butt Boy
me,
yet?
which one?
Butt Boy.
No, I have not seen that one yet. No,
Oh boy.
Butt Boy.
You need to find that movie.
Oh, never
Yeah, you
mind. I
need
think I found it.
yeah, you need to find that. It's an older movie.
Assume the position.
I want you to read
Okay.
the description, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it. I want you to go into that one blind. That would be a great
Let's
movie for you
see.
and Lando to watch going in blind.
Compulsive behavior after a routine rectal exam, where anything he inserts into his anus mysteriously disappears. Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay. Pets and eventually people. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Who is
his
this
his
actor?
his butt is a trans-dimensional void. It
All
just
right.
sucks.
Well,
I don't even want to say anything more about it. I'll just let you
yeah,
watch
that's
it.
fine.
And then
That's a good.
Chompy
Yeah,
and the
that's
Girls. If you haven't seen Chompy and the Girls yet, that's another one I'll add to the list.
Butt Boy is free to stream. Okay, well, that makes it easy.
Yep. Um,
Wow.
I think Chompy and the Girls is as well. And the last one I would recommend, I don't know if you've seen Sorry to Bother You or not yet.
I have seen that. Lando has not.
Okay.
I've seen that. Yes.
That movie
Excellent.
takes a really strange turn about halfway through, and you go, wait, what?
Yeah, but it's very good. Yeah, yeah. That's why I like it. Yeah, that's a really good one.
So yeah, start with Butt Boy. You can find it. It's for free. Stream it.
Mm.
If not, I own a copy of it. I can get you a copy of it some way. Give it a shot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll do you'll do a 5 or something about it because it just goes
I will.
farcically insane.
I'll stealth load this one. I'll give it a fake title so Lando doesn't know what it is.
Okay.
I've done that a couple times. Because
Does he
if I
not
tell
listen
him
to the
that-
episodes?
No, he never listens to anything. He doesn't
Man.
understand why anybody else does either. No, he doesn't listen to anything. No. I mean, I don't either, to be fair. Actually, I just reached out to somebody to potentially come on, and this person said, I have to admit, I've never listened to the show. And I said, that I don't care. You think I do? I don't listen to anything. That'll be clear once you see my editing style, quote unquote, which is nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, there is no editing. So no,
That's why it's so much easier for you to do a show than it is for me. For me, I would put like 24, 40 hours a week into production of a show. And that's one of the reasons why I quit doing it, because it was just it was becoming over a full-time job.
That's all that is I'm putting into the video reviews that I'm doing with my friend from college. And those, I mean, I literally just did the edit on The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, and that took me like 3 weeks, because every time I would think of a gag, I would have to go find the pictures, and I would have to do the editing, and I'm not that good of a video editor, so I'm like janking this shit together. But whatever, I like it. I think, but that's a perfect example. I have to create a YouTube version and a Patreon version. The Patreon version is uncensored, so all the clips play, all the music plays, it's all there, and I don't have to worry
Is
about
it free?
There's been not. Is what free? The Patreon?
The Patreon stuff? Is Patreon stuff free?
No, it's all free. I don't pay shit.
Oh, okay.
All free. I'm sort of astonished. I don't know how they're making their money. I mean, it must be from the royalty, the percentages, because as far as I'm aware, there's no ads in the videos, no indication that I know of. And there's an option to sell them, but I don't. My stuff's all in the free tier too. You can paywall stuff, but I don't.
Yeah, I had a Patreon for a little while, but I dropped it because I couldn't keep up. I didn't feel I was putting enough quality content out there to warrant having the channel. So I just more or less dropped it.
You don't have to put quality content. You just have to have something.
Yeah, but I was charging people. I had, now it's like if I did it again, I would like there's me and a few buddies that want to do a Cinema Labatt podcast of some kind. And our big problem is we want to do what you're doing, but we don't have a way of recording the videos and our vocals with our commentary over top of them. We don't have a way to do it yet. I haven't found a way to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's what I mean about we do it with.
I want to do it through Discord, but I don't have a way of recording through Discord that I've found yet.
Do you have a Mac or not?
No, I've got the 4 or 5 Linux different laptops that I have, and then I've got the main Windows computer. Now there is a program out there that says you can do it, but I can't get it to work properly, and I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what I mean about this company. Audio Hijack is such a magnificent program that it's again, this is the only thing I don't know of an equivalent. I mean, Audacity could sort of do what it does, but not as well. I don't know that.
But it's not going to record the video. I'd have to.
But that
I can record the audio and then sync it up to the TV. The video, I guess I could do that.
Yeah, that's what you would do. That's what I do. So basically, I just dump the MP4 file in, and then that's why I do the count off, and then I just line up the count, and then that's it. Now, if you did it through, you know what? I wonder if Zoom would allow you to do that, because can you do a presentation? I think you can present, but it would be so staggered. It would be so stuttery. Yeah. You'd still want a local file, but that would at least allow you to sync up all the audio tracks would be synced, and then you would just slap them onto the actual video. And again,
I guess I could do it that way. I could record the audio as an MP4 and then just drop it into. Yeah. I don't know if can you drop video into Audacity and edit audio on top of it?
It'll strip the video. It'll strip the audio out. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can do that. So if you pull an MP4 file in, it's just going to pull the video, but it won't edit the audio. The video. Sorry, it will pull the audio, but it won't edit the video. But okay.
See, I don't need to edit the video anyways.
Right, but I mean, you'd have to line it up. Oh, well, I guess no. If you're, that's all you would have to do is you would just have to line up the video with the audio. I assume.
And you could do that with Adobe Audition too, can't you?
Well, I was going to say, do you have Premiere if you have Audition?
No, my version of Audition
is it a standalone?
I think it's CS5 is what I got. Yeah, it's not. I don't do the month.
Okay.
Yeah, I have CS6. I have Adobe Audition CS6, and I think you can drop video into that, because if that's the case, then I can just record the audio and I could just sync them up in there. That might work.
That would be the easiest way. Yeah, there's way. I thought there was a. Hold on a minute. I think there is a free video editor that would do what you're talking about. That the free version would handle what you're talking about. Well, DaVinci Resolve, I think, has a free
If not,
version,
I'm sure there's a Linux one of some kind. Let's see here.
I think there is. Yeah, I think DaVinci Resolve, the basic version, which would be fine for what you're talking about. Let's see, is free. And then if you want to go into the advanced stuff, then you pay. And there is a Linux version of DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve 20 is on Linux.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm just
trying to see. Huh. Yeah, I think that would do what you need to do. And that is if I remember correctly, that's a perpetual license. I mean, it's $300. It ain't cheap, but that's a one-time. You're done. No subscriptions. But I believe the free version will do what you need to do. And I would say that would be where you'd want to go, because
maybe I'll give it a shot. It's just a matter of me finding a way to record audio off of Discord at this point.
Well, no. Okay, so no, that you could do with Audacity. So if you're running it through Discord, again, well, actually, that might actually work out better for you. Okay, if you did it through Discord, then I think you could tell Audacity to record what you're hearing, and then it would capture both sides of the audio. So the only trick there is if you had to edit something out. But if you're not going to edit anything,
it would have to be. It would have to be the other way around, which I think I could figure it out. I think what used to be MP3 Skype recorder might do Discord.
But
I
here's
mean, if
another
I have
option
to do
too.
it with the video, then I can just drop the video and then just drop the audio right out of the video, and I would have.
Well, you could also ask the people on the other end to record their thing in Audacity. Wouldn't be that hard, right?
Yeah, but some of the people I record with don't have that capability.
Well,
Like
but
some of the
if
people I
they're
watch
if
movies with, it's just a bunch of me and a couple of my buddies sitting down and watching stuff.
yeah, but I mean,
I
if they've
can
got a
dig into it.
microphone and they're in Discord, they could probably run. Audacity's so easy. That's what I'm getting at. You don't really have to know
Yeah.
anything. You just hit the record button and then you just export the wave and don't do anything else. But I think you can do it. I would say Audacity would work because you could pull and actually, you know what? If anybody's listening and has an idea how to solve this, please tell me and I'll pass it on. So that's why This is good. We're all going over this in here because somebody listening might be like, "Oh no, I'm doing this." Okay, fine. But like I said, the good part is that DaVinci is on Linux, so that would handle the audio side, from what I'm seeing, and it's a pretty simple time. I mean, for what you're doing, this is way more intricate than you would need. I think the free version would be perfectly fine.
There's
And I
Linux
believe
is
the
telling me
free
there's
version.
a software called OpenShot Video Editor that will allow me to do exactly what I need to
Okay,
do as far as combining
yeah,
the
there you
movie
go.
and the MP4 together.
All right,
So
well then you're done. Yeah,
yeah, it's possible. I can do it. Huh.
yeah, and like I
Again,
said,
Linux to the
Patreon,
rescue.
but also I Patreon was limited, and then at some point they just opened it up, and I'm sort of astonished by it because I've got to have. Hold on a minute. How many? I mean, I'm not kidding. I have like 80 videos. I don't even know how many terabytes that would be at this point because
80
I've got
videos.
two. Seriously. I mean, we've watched more than that, but that's what I've uploaded to Patreon.
I've
But at
got
this
like
point,
400. Oh no,
you
I
have,
thought you talked about. I didn't think you were talking about the ones you had loaded online.
no, I'm talking about the ones that are Patreon. I
Yeah,
think we have
that's
80
different.
plus because, like, for the Black History Month one, I just went ahead and did all 12 of those movies over the course of the 4 weeks. I just released them. So, I mean, there's been more than 2 a month, but for the rest of it, it's 2 a month. So if there's 52, oh shit, wait a minute. If I'm in 2029, which I am, and it's 2 a month, and there's 52, hold on. God, my math is so bad. 52 weeks, right? So that would be 12. So there's 24 a year, and that's excluding where, like, Devs, we released it every single day. Alien Earth. There's another one. Alien Earth, we put out right after it ended. And every single episode is on there.
What did you think about Alien Earth? Did you like it or not?
I thought it was great, man. I had this
I
discussion.
liked
I
it
just
too.
did yeah, me and Lando both thought it was really good. I just had a late night that just came out that with a couple of guys who do a movie review show, and they did not enjoy it. And I was like, hey man, that's fine. Don't enjoy whatever you want. But I'm like, there's very little at this point that I care about the canon so much that if they go outside it, I give a fuck. And Alien already corrupted itself once it did the Alien versus Predator thing. So at this point, I mean, really, you could say Alien 4 was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, if anything, they're
canon.
fixing it.
That's what I'm saying is, if you're going to get hung up on that, then you should have checked out a long time ago. Because, hey, Alien Resurrection didn't exactly, Alien 1 through 3 is the perfect trilogy. Done. It's
depending on which version of 3
beginning.
you're talking about. If you're talking about the director's cut, yeah.
I'm actually talking about the one that the fan editors fixed all the problems with, which is the director's cut, and they fixed the effects.
Yeah.
Which is called that's the one we did the commentary to. I don't remember what the name of it is. It's like the whatever it's called. We linked to it in the show notes somewhere. But that version is the director's cut where they actually went in and color graded and made the alien not look like it was terribly composited and fixed things like where he what do you call it? What's the word? Where you go through a wall, where he clips through a camera and they left it in the movie. They even fixed that shit. So no, 1 through 3 with the correct version. That's the story. It's Ripley's story. Honestly, everything after that, I don't care. It's a bitterly nihilistic, pessimistic, real life look at how the universe is going to fuck you across decades. That's the perfect trilogy. Got it. Everything after that, I don't care. I don't care. Prometheus? Yeah, sure. I mean, the fan edit that I recommend all the time is the best version of Prometheus and Covenant. But
yeah, that's the one I like, where they edited the two together. That's the best one in my opinion.
Paradise. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But
It makes more
Okay,
sense too.
way more sense. But that's what I'm saying. So I liked Alien Earth a lot. It's, again, kind of like Prometheus and Covenant. The thing about Alien Earth that I think is that Noah Hawley was really interested more in the androids than the alien. I don't think he particularly cares about the alien. It's there. It's a tool for the main
It's the tool of
replicant, or whatever we're
chaos.
calling it. Yeah, but it's not. But that's not what he's really focused on. He's focused on Wendy and the two androids whose names I keep forgetting. The black guy and Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
Whatever their android names are, those and Wendy, that's who he cares about. That's it. So the alien could just vanish and I'd still like it. So I don't mind. A lot of people got very and the what do you call it? The eyeball alien. I was so
Yeah.
delighted
The
by. I
tool,
made a
the
shirt
little
out of
tool
it.
alien thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I drew the fuck out of that sheep with the eyeball in it, man. I loved it.
Yeah, I
I
thought it
mean,
was a good show. I didn't even think the Predator Badlands was that bad either.
we liked Predator Battle again, mostly for the android. I liked what's her face
Yeah.
way more than I expected to, because at first I hated her. When she first started doing all the wisecracks, I'm like, oh God, is this what we're gonna do? And then the more it went on, I'm like, oh no, she's growing on me now. Oh no, now I really like her. Now I don't even care about the Predator. I like the android. She's better. And then when she did the thing where she's separated and she's kicking the shit out of her, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. Give me a whole movie of this. I just want to see ripped in half like Bishop. But she's kicking the shit out of everybody across the room. Oh, good, good. Do more of this. That's interesting.
They're
You
doing a
know,
good job of world building. They're not that's the thing when they got a hold of these franchises. So it's like, all right, well, what can we do with what they did it properly. They didn't really disrespect the original source material. They just added to that world without touching the source material that much, which is,
well,
in my opinion, the way that it should be. Leave the stuff alone and just work. If they'd have done that with Star Wars, it would have been great. It would have been like, all right, just leave that shit alone. Just there's a whole world here you guys have to play with. Let's see something cool with
this,
it.
the same problem is going to apply to everything, which
Hmm.
is whether it's Predator or Alien, right? The less you know about these things, the better they are because they're more interesting. So, if you're going to keep doing movies and stuff in there, you're going to have to get into aspects of these creatures. And or Star Wars too, except Star Wars problem, they can't get away from the original fucking people. Jesus Christ, give me a different story, please. Shut the fuck up about
Well,
Luke
when they do,
Skywalker.
people
I
don't like
know.
it. You know, like the
Yeah.
first season of Mandalorian, in my opinion, was fantastic. Second season
I
was
no, you
okay.
know what?
Third season, no. Well, they made it about Baby
But
Yoda because that was where the money was. But the first season was like the first scene was a guy getting cut in half by a door. The first
but
season was
that
very dark. That set the
Star
tone. And
Wars in
after that,
particular, anything that Disney owns is going to have problems because Disney can't take a risk. Can't do it. So the minute Disney owns your shit, look at Marvel. Fucked. It's just it's I mean, now that I think they've been forced to now start to go, okay, we're gonna have to make stuff that stands on its own now. Because nobody's buying this shit anymore because we've repeated the formula and tied everything together so much that nobody can keep track of it all. So they're now having to go back to basics on going, okay, this show just exists like Wonder Man. I'm actually really curious to watch that one. I haven't yet because it's isolated.
it's okay.
Most, you know what though? Even if it's okay, as long as it doesn't have to tie into anything, that's
No, it
already
doesn't.
better than most of the other. Yeah, that's already better. But for Predator and Alien, yeah, the first movies are great because we don't know shit about them. They're just these things. So if you're going to keep making movies, you're going to have to inevitably dilute them in some way. Now, if you're going to get hung up on that, then I would advise you never to watch any sequels past, well, first three Aliens and the first two Predators. Just stop. Just stop. When they announce a new one, don't watch it. Don't.
Yeah.
Because you will never be happy. Period. Which, by the way, that I even don't understand because it's like with the new Star Wars movies. I've watched every Star Wars film that's come out so far of the mainline series. I didn't watch Rogue One because I don't want to watch a movie where everybody dies at the end. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's just I'm not into it.
You haven't watched
I
Andor either?
No, I haven't watched Andor because
Oh, man.
it's a fucking bummer. It's a bummer. I'm good. There's enough misery. Since COVID on, I'm not into misery anymore. There's enough terrible shit in the actual world. My entertainment is meant to entertain and enlighten me and bring me up, not down.
Andor
Now,
is
of
probably
course,
some of the best Star Wars that I've seen since Star Wars, and it works
I
because it
believe it.
goes into such a way different direction, and it's mature. It's a very mature, well done story, and it ties in seamlessly with Rogue One. It was such from start. I mean, it has its moments where it gets boring because they had to stretch it out to make seasons out of it, but the story and the way it's told as a whole
No,
is
no, no.
fantastic.
Everybody I've talked to says it's great, and I believe it. I'm sure it's excellent. But it's like movies I've talked about before that are excellent that I will never ever watch again in my life. Like The Road, excellent. Fuck that movie. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, excellent. Fuck that movie. I'm never watching these goddamn things again. Now if we enter into a utopia where everything's great and everybody's prosperous and the world is peaceful and happy, then I'll start dipping back into that shit because then I'll be okay with it because then the escape from the misery will be the real world. But I don't want to go into my entertainment to be miserable to then escape back into misery. No, I'm good. I want shit that's making me laugh or smile. I don't want anything else right now. So no, I don't want any of it. But
I can respect that.
It's just, like I said, I'm not telling anybody else what to do. That's just my way of looking at it. But the 9 main Star Wars movies right now, I watched every one of those pieces of shit after the first 3. And they are all pieces of shit. Don't tell me the prequels are secretly good. They're not.
No,
they're not.
They're
they
not.
have little fun elements, like Darth Maul got screwed because that's a great character, and they completely screwed that. So that should be a metaphor for the whole series. And they just got worse when they went into the new trilogy. Even though Last Jedi, I think at least was attempting something. Well, they didn't back him, so why bother, right? None of those terrible 6 movies has ruined the originals for me. People get way too wound up about this stuff. If you don't like the new stuff, forget about it. Just go watch the old stuff. If they were taking the old movies away when they put the new ones out, then you'd have a case. And I'd be on your side. But they're not.
Did you watch Skeleton Crew?
I did watch Skeleton Crew. I liked Skeleton Crew because it was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was a pirate Star Wars show. See? Fun. I like fun.
That's what the direction that they want to start going in now is they want to start doing like much the same way they did with Marvel, where it's a standalone stuff. That's what they want to start doing with Star Wars now. So we'll see what happens now that Filoni's running it. Who knows what's going to happen?
And I don't want it all to be that either. I want there to be Andor. There should be serious, interesting stories. Me not liking Andor is not me advocating that they shouldn't make Andor. They should make more Andor type stuff because this is exactly my argument to where they're stuck with the movies is they cannot get out of the vortex of the original 3. And that assumes that the only good stories you can tell in the Star Wars universe are based on the original 3. And that's horseshit. It's a huge universe. You could do lots of things. The books did them. The books branched way out. And there were many terrible books and many good books. So make another Andor where you're really getting into the politics. Because a lot of people love that show. Good. Give them more of that. It doesn't all have to be shit I like. But Skeleton Crew's good too. And Mandalorian should have stayed on its own. The minute that Jesus Christ, why is Luke Skywalker in this fucking show? Why?
Well, I get that because there's a lot of people that still want those stories to be told or to be continued in some way.
Fucking shut up. Go watch something else because you're never going to get anywhere if everything has to recycle back into that. I'm shocked Andor didn't manage to have, I don't know, Admiral Akbar show up to go, hey, it's a trap. Good for them that they didn't fall into that because, man.
As long as like this Luke Skywalker thing I'm okay with as long as it's a background supporting thing. It's not the main thrust of the show. Like the Luke Skywalker thing works because Luke's off on a planet. He's not going on adventures. He's trying to build his academy up. So you're going to see him pop in every once in a while. It's just a background character that's in there. Now, the problem that they had with that was when season 3 hit, when you're like, even with Boba Fett, when you have an episode where they have to go over and completely do a whole Mandalorian show with baby Grogu in it, it's like, there's a problem here. Like, this is supposed to be about Boba Fett, and the best episodes are when you're going off the side, taking care of this side stuff. But that was because they had all these other shows planned that all fell apart. So they had to finish telling those parts of the story to make something work because, what's her name? I can't remember that girl that was they fired her for whatever. Yeah. She was supposed to have her own show. And then there was supposed to be another show called or Rangers of the New Republic. All of that stuff got canned. So they had all these story things out there that they had to finish up in some way. They're like, all right, well, we'll just tie them in here, here, and here. and hopefully we'll move on from that. Why they're
Well,
making a
then
Mandalorian
clearly,
movie, I have no idea. Maybe they're hoping to
I
cash in on the success of the Mandalorian and make some money off it or something, I guess. I don't know.
Disney apparently had the same problem we've been complaining about. They didn't have a backup plan. And when their main shit, when the cloud blew up, they had nowhere to go, which
Yeah,
means they didn't plan properly. So, yeah, this is my problem with a lot of this stuff is what used to be cute Easter eggs has now become a dependency for the next show. I don't want that.
exactly.
It can't
When
be
they
that.
made Baby Grogu and started making it more cutesy to make money off of it, that was when The Mandalorian really went sideways because then it wasn't the grittier, darker storytelling and what it was based off of, the samurai movies. Then it turned into, well, let's emphasize the cuteness because we need to sell toys, which is
Yeah,
makes
well,
perfect Disney sense.
Disney sense, yeah, but that was when I knew I was completely done with the show. Is when he said goodbye to the baby, and then the baby was coming back. I'm like, oh, forget it, this is done. Because that was the perfect way to sever that and say,
Hmm.
okay, now we're going to get back to telling his stories. Now, don't get me wrong, I was never going to
Well,
be
the
that
whole
much
thing
of
was
a
always
Mandalorian
supposed to be
anyway.
those two. The whole thing was it was supposed to be based off of the old Lone Wolf and Cub samurai movies. That was the whole direct parallel between the two. It was always supposed to be that way.
Well, but
Um,
then there should never have been the point where he separated from the child. If you're going to
Agreed.
separate the kid, then leave them separated. And he can come back later, but he came right the fuck back. It's not like
Yeah,
we had any
again,
real time off.
because those other shows, other things were supposed to happen, and since they didn't do those shows, they're like, oh shit, as you said, they had no backup plan. Now we have to wrap
Yeah,
all this story up,
right.
and it
Yeah,
was just like, oh, okay.
stupid. Yeah,
So,
you can't just
anyways,
bank everything on there. So what was the original question? Oh, Alien Earth. So like I said, that's Alien Earth. I'm fine with because I don't, and that's what I mean about the six Star Wars movies. I'll never watch them again. I barely even remember them. I still watch the originals, and they're perfectly fine.
did you like
And that's the
Solo?
first. Yeah, I liked Solo, but again, Solo set up Darth Maul to come back, and then
Nothing happened.
nothing,
Yep.
nothing. So again, if you're not going to have the balls to follow through, and here again, to go back to one of my earlier things, fuck you, Disney. You have plenty of money to just make the second movie, even if you know it's going to be a loss, so that the story gets completed. And this is where you really find out whether any of these companies actually have any belief in their creative properties, which, spoiler alert, they don't, is if Disney, as a company, truly believed in the Solo movie and was going to back it, they would have made a sequel knowing that it probably wasn't going to make as much money as they wanted, but because they wanted the creative vision to be completed and realized, and they would have made the second movie or
I'd
whatever they were
watch
going
a
to
new
follow
Solo
up with.
movie.
I would too, but it I don't know, it only made 10% more than its budget, therefore failure. Okay. Well, you don't give a shit about the actual property. Again, all you care about is the stock ticker and your profit margins. And if
Well, a
that's
lot
all
of
you
Solo
care
people
about,
not going and seeing it that was a backlash movie. That was a protest movie where people were like, "No, these movies sucked. We're not going to go see that after what you've done thus far." So people really, and I understand that. I agree with that. After seeing, some the average person would see those. I'm a Star Wars whore. I'll watch anything they put out for the most part. I think you are
well,
too.
you're talking, yeah, you're talking about a different thing though. You're talking about the audience response, and that's a separate thing. I'm talking
Yeah.
about Disney telling the people, okay, if we're going to make a movie that has a hook into something else, then we're going to make that something else. Because otherwise, regardless of whether the audience likes the okay, so let's write off the people who were backlashing against. Okay, fine, they were never going to show up. But now, the people who actually did, by not finishing the vision off, you've now fucked them too. So even the idiots who showed up with belief that you would actually hold up your end of the bargain, you've now made them less likely to come back. So not only did you lose the part of the audience that you never had, but the people who did show up, you've now said, hey, that's great, bend over. I'm going to stick something up your ass. You're going to enjoy it,
Like
whether you
that?
want to
Too
or
bad you're
not.
not going to get any more. Bye.
Right.
Didn't make
So,
enough money
so
for
what?
us.
So what does that accomplish but to make people lose faith in Disney? And they all blamed Kathleen Kennedy as if she was running jack shit. Please, give me a fucking break. She answers to the mouse just like all the rest of them in Disney do. She may have had suggestions, but if you seriously think that that individual was driving anything, you are out of your fucking mind. Disney runs the show. If it was still Lucasfilm and she was at the head of it, before Disney, yeah, go ahead, blame her. But I'm not going to lay all that on her feet. I'm not going to blame any of those people because ultimately, you know, and I know that there's a group of suits sitting in a room who have a checklist. And if that movie comes through and that checklist ain't done correctly, they're going to say, change this. And that's what's going to happen. There is no creativity there. Disney, ironically, founded by an individual who believed in imagination and creativity, and maybe if they ever thaw his head and put it back on the robot spider body, he'll believe in it again. But at this point, it is a hollowed out money machine. There is nothing there. There is no creativity and actual belief in creative vision that actually permeates to the top. There probably
They did the same thing with Marvel. How many storylines in the Marvel movies have gone nowhere?
Right.
Like the end of the one movie where you had Star Fox and whoever else show up at the end of it and never heard anything about it again. They
Doctor
just,
Strange,
okay, well.
Enchantress shows up or whatever. Cleo shows up. Oh, where's she? Huh?
No idea.
Gone. Evaporated.
We'll never hear about that. We'll never hear about that one again. Maybe the audience will forget about it. They have a track record, a consistent, proven track record of doing that kind of stuff. And they just, okay, well, hopefully people will just forget about that and move on. You know,
and to drag this all the way back to your question about Alien Earth, one of the reasons I like Alien Earth is because I can feel the author's voice in it. Now, do I think every decision that he made was correct? I do not. However, at least I feel like he created it. Now, I'm sure there were compromises. Yes. I would be very, very confident to say that some things were he was probably told that he had to include certain things, or that he couldn't do certain things. I'm sure of that. But it doesn't feel like a factory stamped, like a Marvel product where it's like, here's the formula, everybody. It's so transparent that you'd have to be blind not to see it.
Well, the other thing, there's more room, there's more wiggle room with that because it's not Disney. It's owned by Disney. It's a Disney sub company. But because the Disney's name is not on it, they have a little bit more flexibility with the things that they can do. It's a network thing. It's not a theatrical thing.
Right.
You know, there's not the same baggage behind it. So there's a little bit more freedom there.
But that's what I'm saying. It's part of why I don't care about how it contradicts things or doesn't always make sense or, you know, there's certain things about it that don't have that. There's some plot holes in it that are pretty van-sized, but I don't care because it doesn't feel
it's
like
popcorn.
Well, no, I would argue it isn't. I don't think it is popcorn. I think if you look into what he's getting into, which is, okay, we took a dying kid and we somethinged her into an android body or whatever they're calling it. Synth body. No, what was the name? They had a different name for whatever their name for it was. Whatever.
Yeah, because they had the ones where like augmented humans, the full-on synthetic robots, and these are the synthetic robots, and then cyborgs.
Timothy Oliphant was a synth. So whatever they had a name for him, I can't remember. But he clearly was interested in the idea that no, that's not your sister. That's not a person. That's something else. And we don't know what it is, and she doesn't know what she is, and nobody does. But what you've done is you've created a new life form. So what do you do with this now? Because there's an inherent problem where you take a child and put them into a godlike body and give them the capacity to understand that they're not themselves anymore. Some of them are not reacting very well to it. Wendy is sort of managing it, but she's aware that she's really not Wendy anymore. I mean, whatever her real name is. She's more Wendy than she is whatever her real name was.
That's the thing they bring up the show too is, okay, are we actually them or are we just a copy of what that person was?
So
that's the deeper
popcorn.
question.
That's some philosophical shit. So
no, it is, but I mean, popcorn, it's just fun to sit down and eat popcorn and watch. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
It's
But that's what I'm saying. But it's not empty popcorn shit like the Star Wars movies are, where you can just see what this is. You can just see it. Oh, Palpatine's coming back. Even if it doesn't make sense. Oh, a Star Destroyer in a lightning storm armada to sell toys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, you can't even make the those were. Yeah.
And Badlands, too. If I was to look at Badlands, my one big criticism of that movie is that stupid little creature that's with them the whole time. That feels like a baby Grogu thing. But that said, it's one complaint in a movie where they were willing to have the Predator's face the whole time, where he's talking, and an android on his back, C-3PO style, for a lot of the movie, and he wasn't even all that fond of her for a long time. It was a good movie. Is it aimed younger than we are? Yeah, it's clearly aimed a little younger, but it's not insultingly juvenile the way some of these things are. So, again, I'll take that over Alien versus Predator 3, where now we're just merging them together into some stupid-looking dreadlocked alien thing and playing fucking heavy metal music like it matters, because that's going to make it cooler. No, it's not. They still look stupid.
Yeah, but it's like Jason versus Freddy. You know what you're getting into, and you know that they made those movies just to make money off it. When they did it, the people that were into it were into it. It's like, yeah, Predator's an alien. Okay, great. Let's go. Yeah, this is cool. You know what you were getting into when you went to see them. You know, you weren't expecting, a tour, cinematic tour de force or anything like that.
No, but it wasn't even, I mean, Freddy versus Jason is at least entertaining. It's you smirk at it, but it's fun. But those Alien versus Predator movies, I didn't enjoy those at all.
I never even seen them.
Oh,
maybe I should watch them.
The first one, well, I mean, depending on what you're going in for, I would say watch them, but you're going to be bored. That's the thing. Freddy versus Jason isn't boring. I actually think it's a very clever concept of an idea, which is, him trying to bring Jason to get people to be afraid of him, be scared again. Like, that makes sense. That's logical. I get that. Nothing in the AVP movies makes any real sense.
It's not supposed
to. Stupid.
Aliens fighting predators. Here you go. It's like that movie Stunt Rock, if you've ever seen it. It's a movie with a rock band and a guy that does stunts. There's your movie right there. It's not stunt script. It's not stunt acting. It's stunt rock. Alien versus Predator. You get an alien fighting a predator. Here you go. Buy your popcorn. Sit down.
But it's not fun. It's stupid. It's not.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's not entertaining. Whereas Freddy versus Jason is entertaining. Yeah, it doesn't make any real sense, but that's okay because it's a fun movie to watch. Like, you're not bored. That's the difference. That's the thing that separates, for me, a movie like AVP versus Freddy versus Jason. They're both, look, Jason X is stupid too, and I love the fuck out of that movie because it never stops. It's just so telling you, hey, we're putting Jason in space now. Just right to your face. But it doesn't ever try to take, I mean, it's a joke, but it is a joke. And it keeps moving and there's always something happening, so you're never bored by it. AVP is boring. And the parts where it's trying to be interesting don't work. The Predators somehow, and Aliens, come off. I mean, if you should watch it because whatever they decided to do as far as their
all right, I will. I'll get it. Let me see if I can snag
baffling. It. It's baffling. So
we've watched far worse movies in my group. So,
well, that's the thing though. See, when you say worse though, this is the thing. If they keep your attention and entertainment, they're not worse. That's my argument. I don't give a shit if the movie had $5 or 5 million. If you're entertained, whether that's laughing at it or just genuinely kind of engaged with it, then it's not a bad movie. I don't care what anybody says. It's not bad. And that, conversely, you can have a movie with Anthony Hopkins and fucking Michael Fassbender and Meryl Streep and Jodie Foster. And if I'm bored, it's the worst fucking thing I've ever watched. And I don't give a shit how good they are. Jack and Jill. Fucking Pacino's in that. Come on. You know that ain't a good movie, and it's got the talent and the money. It's a fucking Adam Sandler movie. There was some money in it. I mean, maybe Adam Sandler automatically discounts that, but that's what I mean is I don't use the term bad movies for anything not like I used to. I don't think something's a bad movie unless I literally have nothing good to say about it or I fall asleep, which I have done a few times. There have been movies I've fallen asleep during. Those are bad. It's not a budget thing. It's not a talent thing. It's just, am I engaged with it for whatever reason? Like New York Ninja. Now, Lando didn't like it as much because he got bored at parts. Whereas I adore the part of the time in New York's history before it got cleaned up. So just seeing that era of New York City takes me back. So I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when it was like this. I remember when it was getting cleaned up. So that kept me the whole way through. Now, if I didn't have that, it's the same thing when we watched Devil's Express, which is another movie that was shot when it was still like all the subway cars were covered in graffiti type shit. There was the
Devil's
middle of that
Express.
movie.
All right, I'm gonna look that one up.
Oh yeah, the main actor's the actor's name, not the character. The actor's name is Warhawk Tanzania. That's his name.
Oh, this looks amazing.
Okay,
This looks amazing.
It's something. The middle of it, Lando got bored because Warhawk disappears for a while because other things are going on. I didn't care because I was looking at the New York City backdrop and the fact that they were clearly filming this guerrilla style at times, low budget, just running around New York when you could just walk around the corner in Times Square and get stabbed to death type
Dolomite
shit,
style.
Yeah, exactly. So that kept me and he was bored until we got to the end, and then there was an end fight and it picked up. So he would say that movie wasn't, I mean, he still said it was entertaining, but I'm like, no, that's a great movie because at no point was I bored. So even though it's low budget and it's not a particularly good story, I love the shit out of it.
I'm going to download this. I'm going to get this. We're going to give this a watch.
I think you will have a good time with it. It is interesting. It's trying to mix like Chinese mythology, sort of. I mean, I don't know if it's actually based in any real Chinese mythology, but it's kind of this Chinese mysticism with New York City, like Black Power martial arts. It's a really interesting mix. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Because you were the one that turned me on to 3 the hard way. Then we ended up watching all 3 of those movies, which in turn got us into what the heck's the black karate guy's name in that movie? I can't remember right now. We ended up watching
Mr. Keys. What's his name? Jim Kelly.
Yeah, we watched that in turn sent us down the Jim Kelly rabbit hole because we're big blaxploitation fans. We've watched a lot of blaxploitation movies.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that you've recommended to us to this day, there's still a few movies that I thought Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. I just re-showed somebody that movie last week.
Whoa. Lando has not seen that one yet. I've seen it a couple.
Oh, he hasn't seen that one yet?
No.
I always describe that one as like, tell somebody in South Africa they have to make The Matrix and they've got a budget of $500. Go.
That movie, I can't wait for him to see that one. But it's on my list.
That'll be fun.
It's in our shared folder, but things have come up because, like I said, we did the Black History Month one, which was great because we did 12 movies, and there wasn't really a bad one in the entire bunch. There were only 2 that we were like, and I don't think that about Devil's Express, but that was a weaker one for Lando. And the only one out of the whole bunch where we really both agreed that it didn't do what it should have with what it was, what the tools it had was Blackenstein, which starts out and it's not doing any of the shit you would expect, which is so great. And then it does nothing with it. It just, once he becomes the monster, it just doesn't seem to have any ideas anymore. And what's fascinating is of all the movies we watched, the only movie with no racism, which is fucking astonishing, for a movie called Blackenstein, where there's a character that you're sure is going to turn out to be a Klansman, not. The scientist, the Dr. Frankenstein character, not a racist, nice guy, trying to help, not trying to make a monster, trying to help a Vietnam veteran who lost all his limbs. That's who becomes the monster. And just all those elements, we're like, whoa, okay. And then it just doesn't do anything. It just doesn't know what to do. Once he becomes the monster, he just lumbers around for 40 minutes, going and killing people, and not even good enough gore effects to justify it. But have you watched Blackula yet? Oh, we love Blackula. We were so blown away by Black, and we watched that right before Blackenstein, which made that worse.
Oh man!
So we did.
Oh God!
we watched Blackula, Blackenstein, and then the new Candyman. So honestly, Blackenstein never had a chance. It was way too weak for that lineup. I mean, we just destroyed it with the stuff around it. But we didn't know that. I thought, honestly, the biggest surprise of that whole run, and Lando would probably agree, was Dr. Black, Mr. Hyde, which
Dr. Black,
title,
Mr. Hyde. Okay,
gotta find that
one too.
It's you can pull it off YouTube. It's the only place I've seen it. And I just I have the 4K downloader app, and I just ripped it right from YouTube because
that's what I'm going to have to do.
It's shockingly good because it's really layered, and it introduced a word that I'd never heard of, and neither had Lando. And the word is haint. H-A-I-N-T.
Oh, haint? I know what haints are. Yeah.
I didn't.
That's an Appalachian thing. Yeah.
I don't know shit. I forget.
That's why porches are painted blue.
That's the place I live. Yeah. Yes. The blue thing. Yeah. So the character just says it, but they don't tell you. And plus the cop that talks about it, who is a black cop, so he should have had the information because he's the one conveying it, to the white cop, And the white cop's a riot. Holy shit, that white cop is funny as hell. And the white cop and black cop dynamic is fantastic. Like, they are backing each other up, which again, I was like, oh, the white cop's going to be a dick. No, white cop's great. The black cop says the word haint, and the white cop says, what the fuck is a haint? And he says it's a mix between the abominable snowman and Willie the werewolf, which is not accurate.
No.
I looked it up and I'm like, why would he say that? What the fuck was that? But it doesn't matter. But that whole concept and the main character, like, it's a very interesting take on the Dr. Hyde, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde idea. It's interesting what they do with it. Great movie. Not to mention, out of fucking nowhere, fucking Gold Dukat shows up. And I saw him right away. And I'm like, that's, really? Yes, Disco Dukat is in that fucking movie. That's what I started calling him. Huh. As soon as I saw his neck and his nose, I'm like, I know who the fuck that is. And sure enough, it's one of his early movies. And man, he's grooved out, baby. He's playing a drug dealer. I don't remember what his name is. Because I'm like, if you listen to the commentary, I'm like, that's fucking Gold Dukat. And it was. Looked it up. Sure enough. Mark Alamo. That's him.
Wow.
Pops up in weird shit, man. It's crazy. He pops up.
I'm writing these movies down as we talk about them.
Oh, yeah. The other one I would highly recommend, but this is a serious one. Like, it's really just seriously good, is The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Okay. Which I was looking something up and I saw that title and I went, oh, that's a bad title. Because on one version of it is, but it's got a double meaning because it's a guy who trains in the CIA so that he can learn the tactics to bring down the white government. And it's based on a book, and it's very good. Like, you could actually see how it could work. And apparently at the time it pissed a lot of people off, and I certainly could understand why. And yeah.
That's on YouTube as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah, a lot of these are. The only ones of the ones that we watched that I would say, Black Caesar, it's a great movie as far as a Fred Williamson vehicle, but that's a heavy, there's just so much hardcore racist slurs and hatred in that movie that honestly, I was not in a happy place after that movie. It was just too much of that shit. And just the way people were talking to each other. It's a good movie, but I'll never watch it again. It's another one of those.
Yeah.
I need to watch it again. Whereas like Spook Who Sat by the Door, I would tell anybody to watch that because I'm like, this is fucking great. You got to watch this shit. But outside of that, we really didn't have any bad ones. And even the weak ones weren't bad. It was just that really the Blackenstein thing. The shame of that was that they didn't capitalize on an interesting set of ideas. It started off with these really interesting ideas and then went nowhere. And again, watching that right after Blackula, which we bought, I did not expect a fucking racist Dracula to open that movie. Holy shit. That was great. And then the doctor's girlfriend, whoever that actress was, holy shit, she like hit me like the thunderbolt, man. I was like, this woman is gorgeous. I just kept looking at her. So the whole movie is me going, holy shit, this woman is beautiful. And then I'll be like, yeah, pay attention to the movie. I'm like, yeah, later.
We fell down a Pam Grier rabbit hole that way too. We saw Pam Grier in a couple of movies, and after that, it was like, we need to watch every movie we can find from this chick.
Ironically, because my plan was to come off of the Black History series and go into a women's, because March is Women's History Month, I guess. So I'm like, oh, okay, we can watch movies where it's all fucking powerful women. I dig the shit out of that because, I'll have at least 4 Cynthia Rothrock movies in there. And I thought the first one was going to be Coffee. And I was getting ready to upload it, and Lando said, oh, let's do Mila March. And I'm like, never mind. I'll watch her read the phone book. Okay. So we'll get back to that. But ironically, I don't think we watched one Pam Grier movie in the whole Black History run. We didn't, that I can remember. No.
Wow.
I've seen plenty of her movies, but no, because I was trying to I tried to group them, and I wanted to have a mix, because most of them I hadn't seen before. I'd seen 3 the Hard Way. I knew that one was a lock. And I'd seen Candyman, which I knew we were going to end with. And I like both of those. So I'm like, okay, these are easy ones to bookend. So I know what we're getting into. And Devil's Express I'd seen. I just didn't know where it was going to be. So I was trying to do movies that actually had something to say. But then I didn't want it to all be that, because I had a hunch, and I was partially correct, that there was going to be a lot of fucking downer racism in it, which there was, because that's just the reality of it. But it gets... Even somebody like me who has no direct racist associations, like, I'm not black. So I I don't know what, I can only imagine the order of magnitude worse it is for somebody who's directly had to engage with this shit. Just me watching this as a white guy, even though I don't like to say Italians are white, but I know that's how I'm classified. Just me watching it, and I'm like getting sick about it. So I'm like, we can't watch this all the way through. We have to be able to balance this out. And that's where I'm like, all right, we'll go hardcore supernatural at the end. Because once you go into supernatural, it does take a bit of the edge off, even though, again, I wasn't expecting fucking Klansman Dracula, but that was just so shocking. The only thing that we both were pissed off at that was that Blackula didn't get to kill him. We were pissed that he didn't get to kill him in the end. He died already. But I was like, okay, supernatural, it does take some of the edge off. And like Sugar Hill, that woman could have played Wonder Woman. Holy shit, her outfit when she's getting revenge, because she has a revenge outfit, which is great. I mean, she's magnificent looking. And that movie, if you've never seen, have you ever seen Sugar Hill? Sugar Hill from 1974, not the 90s one. Oh, okay. Fucking watch that. The Baron Samedi or Samdi. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it because I said it both ways in the movie. Okay,
it's Baron Samedi.
That character and this woman in the movie, they're the reason to watch it. He's having a blast killing honkies. It's fucking great. He is having the time of his life, just finding new ways to wipe out white people. And you want them all dead because they're all awful. And the worst one of them all gets the worst result of them all. So it's perfectly done. Great movie. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's great. So we had a blast. Now we're watching a bunch of shit, but that's all right.
We got to wrap it up here because I really got to go pee.
Oh yeah. Sorry. See, this is what I mean. There's never a time. Holy
shit. It's like 1:30 in the morning here.
Me.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, yeah.
But do go out and, go get it. I'd be really curious to see what your adventures in Linux are going to be like. And since you've got the MacBook to do it on, absolutely go out there and give it a shot. It'd be cool if you could get Lando to do it as well, because he might have an old laptop computer laying around and see what he says, but I don't know if he'd be interested.
Oh, but, no, he's the one who wants to have a isolated computer. I told him, well, then if you want to do that, get a framework where you can literally pull the network chip out of it and put Linux on it. And then you have total control. Then there's nothing that they can do to you because you could literally remove the piece of hardware that connects you to the internet and you're on Linux. So I keep trying to get him to do it, but
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. You more so because you're pretty computer savvy, and it sounds like it's been a while since you've been on Linux. And I think you'd be very pleasantly surprised because it is absolutely not what I thought it was going to be. I was not expecting.
Zorin looks good. Zorin looks really interesting. That's probably the one I would try. So.
Zorin, Mint, or even like MX. Those are the three big ones because I just didn't like. The reason I didn't like Mint is because I do a lot of video streaming off of the computer onto the projector or whatever, and Mint tends to leave a lot more of that on the RAM, and the MacBook Air just didn't quite have the RAM for it. So it'll do the job really well on MX, but it doesn't. Mint's a little bit much for it. Zorin's a little bit much for it, but I've got this other computer. As long as you got 8 gigs of RAM to play with, you can have a field day.
But I think you'll enjoy it. You could run all 3 of those off a USB stick, right?
Yeah, you can. But if you're really unsure about it, there's another thing I'm going to tell you one more time. There's a website called DistroWatch that you can go to that lists all the different distros and reviews and stuff. You can spend days there. And then there's another one. Hold on a second here.
But I just mean the USB stick too for people. If you just have a small stick, you could just literally swap it out and see which one you like using. And you're not committed to anything until you're ready, and then you put it onto the machine. That's the other nice part about Linux, unlike say Mac OS or Windows. You ain't running those off sticks. So
if you're really not sure and you want to be lazy about it, you can go to a website called DistroC, SEA, Distro SEA, and there you can actually log in and run versions of Linux virtually. But
is it a virtual machine?
Yeah, you can do it. Go to DistroC and you could bounce around there, but they're not going to work the same as they do actually on your computer. And going back to the USB stick, you'll get a basic idea for how it works, but you may still run into some issues where sometimes it doesn't recognize your Wi-Fi or something like that because you're running it off of a USB. But you could do it that way if you want to.
Just to get a basic surface level idea. If you just wanted to see, okay, is there really a difference? And if there's not, then you dig into what you need it for.
Well, so, no, you'll see like how the layout works and stuff.
Yeah. I wouldn't run it
But
entirely off USB. I would use that as a way to figure out which one you want. That's what I would say.
again,
But
though,
that distro
if
C
it's
is
an
good.
old laptop that you're not using for anything else, and again, these don't cost anything, so it's
Yeah,
not
you can
like
wipe them out in 30 minutes every time.
that's what I was doing for a while.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah,
somebody gives me a new laptop and says, "Here, this thing's probably 6 years old. I can't upgrade it to." That's the big thing. A lot of the people that are coming over, a lot of them are Windows 10 immigrants that couldn't upgrade to Windows 11 and said, "I'm not going to go out and buy a new computer, especially with the problems that Windows 11 is having." And that's where a lot of these people are coming from. The people that are coming from Windows 11 are the ones that are like, "Screw this. This is bullshit." And they're coming to
yeah,
Linux out of anger. So you have two different kinds of refugees. But that's what I do is I just sat around here forever just putting okay now I'm gonna put this. I've got 7 thumb drives sitting in front of me and all of them have different versions of Linux, and then I have a 250 gig SSD, an old one from some computer that I replaced, that I just have that full of different Linux distros, and I'll turn that on, download it into my desktop, and then I'll put that on Balena Etcher, and I'll just try different versions of Linux on different laptops until I find the one that fits for that computer's needs. So for you, Zorin will be great because you could either set it up as Mac or you can set it up as Windows, or if you want to try something
yeah.
completely different and new, you can do that as well. And
Yeah, I'd probably
you'll,
customize it. That's what I typically do. So,
yeah, see, you'll
yeah.
you'll do that, but the average user that's coming over that doesn't
No,
want to deal with any of that stuff, just download Linux as
yeah,
Zorin, and at the very beginning when you're installing it, it'll show you how do you want this to look, what operating system are you comfortable with, because we can make it look and work like that, and then you click it and it installs it, and boom, you're done, and you turn it on, and there you go. And if you want to download some software, you go to the software store, you click that, and everything's there, and you download it for free. The only problem that I have had, this is the only problem that I've had with Linux, if there's a piece of software out there, and there's a lot that aren't in their software store package, and you actually have to go outside of it to go to like GitHub or something like that, then it gets a little tricky installing something outside of their little software program. Then you got to start using the terminal and it gets a little tricky. But
yeah,
most people, they're never going to have to touch that. You want a
right.
browser? There it is. You want a movie player? There's one right there. It does the job. You want Discord? You can download it from the software store. You want Steam? Mint can handle Steam. I think Zorin can. Actually, it can because I've had it. I've got it on this computer. It's in the software store. You download it, and you have to download it. There's another thing you have to download to get it to work. It's just 2 button clicks, and you're ready to go. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to have a lot of fun with it, I think. Once
No,
you
I
get
would.
used
Yeah,
to it,
yeah.
you're going to enjoy it. But the average person, if you're hearing this and you're thinking about doing it, I can't say enough. Don't be afraid of doing it. It's not hard. The problem you're going to have is that you're going to have so much freedom that's where it gets a little overwhelming. Because if you don't want all the stuff on the bottom, like on Windows, you can put it on the top. You can put it on the side. You can put it on the right side. You can you can have it to where none of the apps are clean on your desktop, and you can click a little button and it lists all your apps, so you don't it'll simulate a desktop. There's all kinds of stuff you can do, and that's a lot of the people have a problem with. They're like, I don't there's too much here. What do I do? How do I do this? Well, watch a YouTube video. There you go. You're done in 10 minutes. You're all set. Have a nice day. So, yeah, give it a shot. Exactly.
Well, as we wind down, what do you want to promote? You want me to promote
Right now,
Cinema
I really don't have
Labad, the
much to
Discord?
promote.
Do
I
you want me
really
to,
don't
you
have
want me to
much to
put a listing
promote. I
for
mean,
that?
I've got the Cinema Labad Facebook page. Sometimes we've got a couple of different groups for the Discord. Sometimes we're in the public groups, but not a lot of people go into them anymore. Our Archivist is kind of on hiatus right now until I figure out how to get it back up and running and what exactly I'm going to do with it. Because I'm going to start it back up probably, but I don't want it to be like it was before where I was doing an episode every week, because I just put a lot of work into those shows and I don't have the time to do it. And another thing is that I just kind of ran out of stuff to say. The world of the paranormal kind of got boring to me. So there are aspects of that world that I'm still very much interested, like magic and folklore and a lot of that kind of stuff. But the whole world of UFOs and Bigfoot and ghosts and stuff just became very, very boring to me.
Yeah,
Like you can only cover this stuff so many times, and after a while, it just kind of it just Ouroboroses and just kind of loops in on itself over and over again.
right.
Like when the government said, we're going to release all the UFO files, it's like, no, you're not. And on top of that, nobody cares anymore. Like most of the people are like, yeah, aliens are real. I still can't afford my rent.
All right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I need a job so the aliens can kiss my ass until I'm working again. Thanks.
yeah. So unless I've got something relevant to say, I'm not really going to podcast if I don't got anything worth putting out there. It's not because most of the reason I did Archivist was because it was stuff that I was interested in and I wanted to like, maybe educate other people. Even when we did our joke shows, we were still trying to have fun with it and educate people about something or just, talking about stuff that we were interested in. And after a while, it's like I can't talk about this stuff anymore. I've covered it so many times. There's nothing new that I can bring to the table with it. So, But I'm gonna do something.
I'll put a link to the Cinema Labad Facebook. We can put that in there.
Yeah, if you want to do that, go ahead. And if you want to put a link to, because Archivist, a lot of the episodes are still there. I haven't taken them down yet, and I'm still pretty proud of 95% of the stuff we did. I still have people that are discovering on a regular basis going, "Are you recording shows anymore?" I'm like, "Well, not right now, but I plan to eventually." So
it helps when you're not doing
pretty much
news topic stuff. So. Well, this was 2.5 hours. I guess it was
2.5 hours of us rambling.
yeah, that's okay. I don't give a shit. It's fine with me. That's what my entire show is, so I don't give a shit. But it's good. I do agree about the Linux thing. I think it is a good option for people because I think a lot of people are frustrated with where these companies are and what they're doing. So remember, it is an option, and it's not, as you said, don't be scared of it.
No, don't. Just be patient, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. I would emphasize again, back your stuff up somewhere just in case.
Yep.
Have 2 copies. Use a password manager. They're very easy, and they're not expensive. Like I said, I use Bitwarden, but find whatever one you want. Just don't use LastPass. But find something. And also, as far as movies go, as Lando says, I'm the abused wife of films, which is true. Because it's very hard for me to say there's anything as such as a bad movie. And to be clear, if you like the prequels or you like the new Star Wars movies, good. People watch.
Yeah, that's somebody's Star Wars. That's why I don't rip on them too much. Okay. Like we had our Star Wars, the prequels. I know people that's their Star Wars, and the same thing with the last 3 movies. There's people that's their Star Wars. There's little girls that are, they can be Jedi Knights now or whatever that have grown up, etc. And if you like them, that's fine. I'm not going to criticize them for that. But if that's your Star Wars, that's your Star Wars. Everybody should have theirs.
That's one of the reasons I won't ever watch them again because all I would do is complain. So I'd rather just say,
they're not made for us.
Like them. Nope, and that's okay too. There's stuff that's going to be coming along for us and stuff that's not. So whatever you do, it's like I was saying. There's a lot of bad stuff in the world. There's a lot of misery. There's a lot of things that we can't control that make us miserable. So whatever it is that entertains you, who gives a shit what anybody else says? Stick with it.
Yeah, we got better stuff to fight about.
Yeah, find the sources of happiness wherever you can and embrace them. That's all I would say. And if you do that on a Linux machine with your stuff properly backed up locally and in the cloud using a password manager, while enjoying films of a vintage that may not necessarily have $50 million budgets, all the better. All the better. And on that note, whatever you do, enjoy your life as much as you can. On that note, we're getting out of here. Thanks for listening. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @Ozone Nightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. Music for Ozone Late Night is provided by Ogre. Visit ogresounds.bandcamp.com to hear and purchase his fantastic selection of music.